First, he ruled the world. Then, betrayed, locked in a cage, and erased from history. But thanks to some taboo magic, he just hit the rewind button by 100 years. Now he's stuck in the body of an illegitimate outcast nobody respects. Does starting from zero rattle him? Please, not even close. He's got the ultimate cheat sheet. He knows every snake in the grass and every fake alliance before it happens. Plus, his god-tier magic? Yeah, he kept that. And this isn't an accident anymore. He's here to rewrite the Empire's history from the shadows. But is this run going to be a walk in the park? Let's dive in. Magic isn't just power. It's the divine fingerprint of the gods themselves. Pure, sublime energy. A master swordsman is 1 in 1,000. A mage? Try 1 in 10,000. Then, history broke in the Burial Empire. Ian Varashan, a magical prodigy who snatched the crown young. Everyone thought this was the dawn of a glorious mage era. Psych, reality hit hard. Instead of a golden age, Emperor Ian ended up rotting in a dark dungeon. And the architect of his downfall? His own nephew, Crony. The guy pulls up a chair outside the bars, just to gloat. What's so great about magic? Anyway, it's for peasants, he sneers. Look at you. Can't even crack those mana-suppressing cuffs, can you? Ian, looking like he's been through hell, barely stands up. You haven't changed a bit, he rasps. Crony frowns. The hell is that supposed to mean? Ian smirks, taking him down memory lane to something he used to say. Mages are rare, sure, but they usually come from the dirt. Peasant blood. If the nobles knew, you'd be kicked to the curb. Ian thought he was giving advice back then, telling him to lay low. Now he sees the truth. It wasn't advice, it was fuel. Crony was just jealous of the power he called lowly. Ian hit a nerve. Bullseye. Crony snaps, smashing his fist into Ian's face. Shut your mouth, he screams, losing his cool. I'm the one with the power now. You're just trash. He starts stomping on Ian's head like a maniac. Then, the steel comes out. Crony grins, eyes manic. Seems like you have a death wish. Let me help you with that. Since we share blood, I'll make it quick. Don't say I never did anything for you. The blade kisses Ian's neck. Bam! The door flies open. A guard rushes in, panting. My lord, urgent news from Duke Helon, saved by the bell. Crony clicks his tongue, annoyed. He shoots Ian one last dirty look before storming off. This isn't over. Silence returns. Ian slumps back, thinking this is the finale. He gave it his all. No regrets, right? Maybe someone will remember the name Ian Varashan, he thinks. Just one person. Darkness takes him as he drifts off. Suddenly panic. Ian, wake up. It's Nam. His best friend is shaking him like a rag doll. Ian blinks, disoriented. How? No time. Nam cuts him off. We gotta move. Now. But Ian's tank is empty. He collapses, tears streaming. Nam, because of you, I became a mage, an emperor. But I'm done. Just let me go. Nam stares at him intense. Did you seriously forget? That old mage tower near the palace? Where you used to hide and cry? You were told if you went there, you'd get a do-over. Nam doesn't know the physics, but he's betting everything on it. Ian looks at his friend, memories of childhood kindness flooding back. Nam always had his back. Whoosh! Golden light erupts around them. Ian panics. What are you doing? Nam doesn't answer. He's focused. Then Ian sees it. A magic circle, drawn in blood. Nam's blood. Realization hits Ian like a truck. Stop! Cancel it! Ian screams. It's too late, Nam whispers, pale but smiling. The price is paid. That's forbidden magic, Ian yells. Bang! The cell door crashes open again. It's Crony. I knew you rats were plotting something, he roars, rushing in. Nam just smiles at Ian. Don't forget, God only gives us what we can handle. Crony swings his sword. A sick slicing sound echoes. Ian freezes in horror as his friend's lifeless body hits the floor. Crony looms over Ian, blood dripping. Pray you stay dead this time. He swings, but the spell kicks in. Nam's final words echo. A blinding white light consumes everything. Then, silence. Ian floats in a void. He looks down at still water. The reflection staring back, a young stranger. He's not in the dungeon anymore. Gravity returns. He stumbles, legs weak in this new body. A harsh voice barks out, Ian, look at this mess, the man scoffs. Can't even walk straight? Get up, you pathetic waste. A woman, Mary, sneers from the side. We only took him in because we felt sorry for his mother. He's useless. Ian tunes them out, clutching his head. The migraine is blinding. The man, Count d'Urberville, snaps at his wife. Watch your tongue, not in front of Sir Mullen. She just cackled, throwing a side eye at the Count. Is he seriously still your kid? Her son, Zell, smirked right along with her. Mom's got a point, old man. Ian's skull felt like it was being split by an axe. Who are these clowns? The noise was deafening. He scanned the hallway, vision swimming. Where the hell am I? Who are all these extras? Dusting off his rags, he swept his gaze across the opulent decor until it landed on a floor-to-length mirror. Staring back was a total stranger. Who is this kid? Before he could process the face swap, the Count, his so-called father, snapped him out of it. Quit humiliating me, the old man hissed. Act like a human being in front of Sir Mullen. This ceremony needs to be flawless. If you pull this off, the Emperor himself will hear of it. Ian blinked, genuinely lost. The Emperor? Which Emperor is he babbling about? Seeing his blank stare, the Count groaned. Wipe that moronic look off your face. Now. With a dramatic sigh, he whipped out a parchment. It's an imperial decree. Not that you can read it, you illiterate rat. But look at the seal. Ian locked onto the text, mind racing. What is this garbage? I never authorized this. But as his eyes scanned the script, the words hit him like a truck. His eyes nearly popped out. The date. It was 98 years in the past. Suddenly, Zell snatched the paper away. Why are you glaring at it? Zell sneered. Like you can read. The Count cut in, emphasizing the strings he pulled. I dragged the central master of ceremonies all the way here. Do not mess this up. Behind them, the maids started gossiping. First time the bastard's seen luxury, one whispered. Bet he does something hilarious. Tuning out the haters, Ian checked the time. Year 1100. An emperor he didn't recognize. And a face that wasn't his. This had Nom's dark magic written all over it. Shaking it off, he stepped in to face Sir Mullen. He bowed with effortless grace, shocking the room. But sitting down was awkward. A massive steak sat on his plate. After rotting in a dungeon on scraps, this was a feast. Still, he handled the silverware like a pro. Sir Mullen raised an eyebrow. Impeccable table manners. The Count beamed, fake as plastic. You're too kind. I hope you'll mention him to the Emperor. Count on it, Mullen replied. Mullen swirled his wine. Philosophy is all the rage in the capital lately. He turned to Ian. What's your take? Then, correcting himself, he looked at Zell. Actually, let's ask the young master first. Who is your favorite thinker? Zell froze, looking like a deer in headlights. He avoided eye contact, stuttering nonsense. Ian smirked internally. He's testing the family's IQ. Ian spoke up calmly. I prefer Philin. Study his humanistic ideology, and you understand the foundation of a true king. Mullen's smile widened. Fascinating. This trend just hit the capital, yet you're already an expert. I never realized. The Count's family was this elite. The Count laughed nervously, sweating bullets. Oh, you flatter us. His wife shoved meat into her mouth, looking ready to explode. Mullen continued. With a mind like that, he'll catch the eye of the Emperor and the Eastern barbarians. Ian's mental alarm bells rang. The unearthly warrior clan. Only one place bordered their lands, and the Empire. The Brock territory. Years ago, this family signed a truce with those monsters. A truce that required a sacrifice. They legitimized Ian, the bastard son, for one reason only. To ship him off, as a hostage. The Count gripped Ian's hand, his voice dropping an octave. You will be a great symbol of peace. Ian didn't flinch. He just gave a sweet, chilling smile. The moment they were alone, Zell dragged Ian into a side room, screaming. You think you're funny, humiliating me like that? You think a fancy last name makes you noble? Ian's expression went cold. If I wasn't noble, or part of this messed up family, I'd already be dog food for the barbarians. Think about it. Zell turned purple. Excuse me? He grabbed a heavy flower vase. Watch your mouth. He hurled the vase. Crash. Shards flew, slicing Ian's cheek. You want to die like your mom? Zell screamed. You were trash yesterday. Now you're acting like a boss? Ian wiped the blood, unbothered. He locked eyes with Zell, his irises glowing molten gold. The air grew heavy. A wave of pure killing intent slammed Zell to the floor. Listen here, you arrogant brat. Watch that tone, or I'll rip your tongue out myself. Dark energy swirled around Ian. Zell was so terrified he wet himself on the spot. Suddenly knock, knock. Sir Mullen poked his head in. Anyone for a drink? Then he froze. The room was suffocating with raw, violent magic. The Count stormed over, demanding answers, before locking his death glare onto Ian. What is the meaning of this? He barked. Zell looked ready to crawl into a hole. Realizing the entire room had clocked the suspicious wet puddle forming beneath Zell, our MC decided to throw the kid a lifeline. He gripped Zell's shoulder, playing it cool. Told you those vases were tricky, man. Come on, up you go. Zell stared back, eyes wide with terror. Ian extended a hand, but the kid was frozen solid, totally paralyzed by the shock. Since Zell was moving at a snail's pace, Durga snapped. He yelled for Hannah, the maid, ordering her to drag Ian back to his room immediately. Hannah rushed over, putting on her best fake polite face. Master Ian, time to head to your quarters, she insisted. As she whisked him away, leaving the Count to grill his son, Sir Mullen shot a sharp, curious look in Ian's direction. Stepping inside, the MC froze. The place was basically a glorified broom closet. Suddenly, Hannah's voice broke the silence. Got that letter for your mom? She whispered. He looked blank. so she reminded him how he used to sob about it every single day, how he'd beg her to smuggle messages out since he was on total lockdown. He looked down, mind racing. Even escaping was impossible for this poor kid. He met her gaze. "I'm done crying," he stated flatly. "So, don't worry about me." Hannah blinked. "Okay. But what about my extra food?" He stared at her, confused. She bowed low, playing the victim card. "I've got 5 siblings starving at home. They rely on your leftovers. Please, have a heart." "You want my meal?" he clarified. She begged for just one more day. After a beat, he nodded. "Fine. But you owe me. When I need a favor, you deliver." She grinned, taking the deal instantly. She thanked him profusely, promising to swing by later, then bounced. Once the door clicked shut, he let out a heavy sigh. He grabbed his head, cursing under his breath. Space-time magic is supposed to loop you back to your origin point. But somehow, he'd been flung way too far into the past, and miles away from where he was actually born. Plus, he's stuck in a stranger's body. Why? To find answers, he realized he had to hit up the Ministry of Magic, right inside the Imperial Palace. He had to get there, no matter what. Time to test the hardware. He attempted a spell. Success. This vessel was fully compatible with mana. It was insane he'd possessed a 1 in a million host, born with mage potential and sharing his exact name. That's not a coincidence. That's destiny or a setup. A knock interrupted his thoughts. "Hannah with dinner. Just leave it outside," he called out. Waiting until she stepped away, he cracked the door. Bread and milk. Standard stuff. Until he took a closer look. It was obvious someone had skimmed a chunk off the top as a little service fee. Still, the portion was pathetic. He flashed back to lunch with Sir Mullen, and a realization hit him hard. Even the nobles didn't have gula on their table. That fruit is a nutritional powerhouse. It's a staple for the Empire now, but back then, considered a weed with deadly poisonous seeds. Only after someone cracked the code on how to eat it safely did starvation rates drop by 85%. But that discovery is still 50 years away. If he revealed the secret now, he could wipe out famine forever. Minds blown. Later, he headed to the Count's office. The Count didn't waste time, announcing a major reception was happening the day after tomorrow. Capital advisors were incoming. Catching the subtext, Ian vowed, "I won't embarrass the family name." "Good," the Count replied. A sharp click echoed as he unlocked a secret drawer and pulled out a small pouch. He tossed it to Ian. "Package from your mother. Just a few coins and a note. Get your tutor to read it to you," he added dismissively. "Behave, and maybe I'll let you see her before I ship you off to school." Suddenly, a servant peeked in, summoning the Count. Durga stood up, shot one last look at his son, and walked out. Stone cold. Zero emotion. MC felt a pang of pity. The original Ian really had it rough. His eyes drifted to the paperwork left on the desk. Curiosity piqued. He grabbed a stack to inspect the family business. Boom. Double ledgers. The Count wasn't just strict. He was skimming tax money. Funds meant for the capital treasury. Bold move. That explained why Sir Mullen was sniffing around. The door creaked open. Panic flared, but he reacted fast, snapping his fingers to magically kill the lights. The Count stepped into the pitch-black room. "Why is it so dark in here?" he demanded. "Must be the new lights, my lord," the servant stammered, scrambling to light a candle. "They must have blown out." Wham! The silence shatters, as a deafening crash echoes through the room. He trips, face-planting hard, and sending documents flying like confetti. The Count barks at him to clean up the mess. But then, a shadow looms in the dim office. He freezes pure terror, locking his muscles. Shaking it off, he bolts to the window and rips the curtains open, blasting the room with sunlight. It reveals just his son, standing there clutching a bag. False alarm. Paranoia kicks in. The Count frantically scans his desk. The files are safe. He glares at the kid, asking what he's doing there. Ian doesn't flinch. "You never dismissed me." Durga collapses into his chair, utterly drained. Apparently, a savage warrior clan is demanding a signed letter. These barbarians are a total nightmare. He tells Ian to handle the correspondence. A little heads up for his teacher. "Take this down," he commands. "Then you can get out of here." Ian steps out and instantly pulls out his mother's letter. Something feels off. Since when could she read or write? And this paper? It's way too premium. Is this even from her? The letter claims she's asking how he is, giving him a life update. Supposedly, she's living the good life thanks to Count Durga. It begs him to play nice with his brother Zell. She says he should be grateful for such a friend. Then drops a request. If he ever heads to the Great Desert, that's the tell. The MC instantly decodes the hidden message. He lets out a dark chuckle. His gut was right. The whole situation is a setup. Now, he just needs concrete proof. Cut to the next day. The VIP lords roll up, and Durga throws a fancy mixer to impress them. Everyone's trading fake smiles and pleasantries before, finally digging into the feast. Sir Dagor turns to Ian, hyping him up. "You're looking more regal by the day, kid." Ian plays it smooth. claiming he's just been counting down the minutes to this meeting. He pivots, saying he's super curious about the high life in the capital. Sir Mac raises an eyebrow. Why the sudden interest? Ian decides to test their IQ. What's on the menu at the royal court? Degore shrugs it off with a non-answer. Rich folks feast, poor folks scrap by. It's the same everywhere, just living within your means. But surely you crave variety, Ian presses. What if a peasant crop suddenly became a luxury delicacy? What happens to the hierarchy then? He adds that feeding the hungry would be a nice bonus. Nature has its own rules, no good or evil, just survival. The table goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Mac breaks the tension. You think exactly like the prince. Ian asks, which one? The second prince, His Highness Gale. Bingo. The rebel prince who led the failed mage uprising. Does this mean these guys are secretly on his team? Mac smirks, implying Ian and the prince would be besties. Ian scans the three lords. Getting cozy with mere merchants seems beneath him, but if they're useful tools, why not exploit them? Sir Molan interrupts his thoughts, sighing, time flies when you're having fun. He turns to the count. Mind if I ask a huge favor? Can I steal Ian for a private stroll? Durga looks rattled. Fine, but Zell goes with you. He's clearly nervous. Molan thanks him, he'll take what he can get. They hit the garden, but Zell is already wheezing and dripping sweat after 5 steps. Sir Mac catches Molan's eye, the signal. He suggests the young master take a breather, if he's struggling. He guides him to the nearest bench. Degore offers to babysit Zell while the others walk ahead. The MC flashes a knowing smile. Please, look after him. Finally, he and Molan are alone, just as planned. They stop at a scenic overlook, and Molan drops the act. I saw that golden flash in your eyes earlier. You're a mage, aren't you? Ian keeps his cool, playing the innocent card. I have no idea what you're talking about. Prince Gale loves collecting mages, Molan presses. It's a rare talent. Ian chuckles darkly. Is that really the only reason? The man looks confused. Ian steps closer. I'm betting you have other questions for me. That sweet, polite smile vanishes instantly. You aren't just here for mages. You're investigating the stolen tax funds, right? Molan's hand twitches. Bullseye. Ian moves in for the kill. Here's the thing. I need something too. Let's make a deal. Molan is hooked, asking if he has the evidence. Ian smirks. If I hand over the double entry ledgers, what's it worth to you? Molan didn't sugarcoat it. Embezzling from the treasury wasn't just a crime. It was a death sentence that would drag Ian down with the ship. But there was a loophole. Ian wasn't officially inked into the Brock family tree yet. If he ghosted the adoption process, the law couldn't touch him. Molan warned him about being shipped off to the savage, unearthly warrior clan. Ian just smirked. He didn't need pity. He needed armor. It was the perfect shield against the Emperor's wrath and a fast track to claiming his own territory. He looked Molan dead in the eye. I'm heading to the warrior clan. No adoption needed. Molan blinked, asking if the kid had a death wish or just didn't know the rumors. Did he have any clue what that clan did to outsiders? Ian's expression was ice cold. I know exactly what I'm signing up for. Once he leaked the treasury scandal, his father would instantly pin the blame on him since they were so tight. Ian needed a sanctuary, a fortress, where nobody could touch him. That sanctuary was the unearthly warrior clan. Those guys had major beef with both the Brock family and the imperial court. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Having an army of elite savages in his back pocket was the ultimate ace up his sleeve. Then he flipped the script on the Lord. You weren't planning on protecting me or my mother anyway, were you? Molan froze, totally tongue-tied. He decided to bail on the conversation, muttering something about young Master Zell not kicking them to the curb just yet. He needed to go check on the golden boy. Ian cracked a smile, realizing he'd completely caught the guy off guard. I've got moves to make too, Ian thought, letting the man retreat. As they parted ways, the guy threw one last veiled threat, telling Ian to thoroughly enjoy the scenery while you're still breathing. He walked off, leaving Ian staring at his back. Ian's mind raced. In the original timeline, the Brock Empire crumbled right about now, but with his current zero status, he couldn't even get past the bouncer at the Imperial Palace. He had to play this smart, handing Molan that double entry ledger was his golden ticket. Sure, it put the family in the crosshairs, but he had to seize the Count's estate. First priority though? He needed serious backup. He had to ally with the warrior clan. That was his stepping stone, straight into the Imperial Court's VIP section. Heading back to the estate, he almost collided with a figure hiding under a hood, clutching a flower pot like a lifeline. A flash of golden hair caught his eye. Ian didn't hesitate. He grabbed her shoulder, stopping her dead in her tracks. You okay? He asked softly. It was his mother. The second she saw him, the dam broke, tears streaming as she frantically asked how he was surviving. She was overwhelmed. Hannah had tipped her off to come meet him, always the sharp one. Her trembling hand reached up, cupping his cheek tenderly. He assured her he was good, that he got her care package, guilt washing over him for barely writing back. He pulled out a heavy pouch, the gold clinking inside. "Did you send these coins?" he asked, eyes searching hers. She shook her head violently. No way could she scrape together that kind of cash. Ian pressed the pouch into her hands. "Take it. Pack your bags. I'll send the exact departure date through Hannah. Be ready." Her hands shook with pure anxiety. "Is something wrong? Are you trying to escape the Count's house? If you need to run, run." She'd been sick with worry sending him here, terrified he'd suffer. "If it's too much, just leave." He covered her trembling hands with his own, silencing her panic. "Don't worry." When she looked up, she gasped. His eyes had shifted to glowing gold. She opened her mouth to ask what was happening, but he cut her off. "I'm not running anywhere, but I need you to promise me something. Do exactly what I say." She nodded silently. In the distance, the voices of approaching lords grew louder. Time was running out. "I have to go," he whispered. "Gather as many gula's seeds as you can. Trust me, I'm going to need them." He turned to leave, telling her to stay safe. She called out frantically, shoving the flower pot toward him. "Take this." It was his favorite plant. He took the pot, flashing a genuine smile of gratitude. Then he was gone. The next morning, Ian and his brother hit the training grounds. "Yesterday," Ian started, "I noticed you looked a little rusty." Father had greenlit Ian joining the session without a single question. Perks of being the top dog. Zell shifted awkwardly. "So, we start today?" Ian nodded. "It's day one, so we'll keep it light. The captain's gonna focus on raw strength." They walked up to a bench where a man was passed out cold. Guy looked like he was fighting a losing battle with a hangover. He shuffled over, dragging his feet like a zombie. "What do you want?" Zell piped up. "Just came to inspect the fighter's arena." The captain got right in his face. "Why haven't I seen you here before?" Zell recoiled sharply, trying to dodge the wave of booze breath. "I'm the Count's heir. I go where I please. Besides, I'm out of shape. I need to train so I can actually defend myself, especially if my bodyguard is wasted." Theo gave him a long, calculating look before grunting, "Follow me." Giving them the lay of the land was a breeze. He marched them straight to the main training grounds, a massive dirt field flanked by supply depots and sleeping quarters. That's where the recruits crashed during overnight drills. He was about to steer them toward the next sector, when crack, the sharp snap of a whip tore through the air. A soldier was mercilessly working over a group of young boys. Zell grimaced, asking for the lowdown on the victims. Theo didn't sugarcoat it. Orphans. If fate hadn't dealt young Master Ian a winning hand, he'd be down in that dirt with them. Ian pivoted to Zell, gauging his reaction to the grim spectacle. The brutality rattled Zell. He started begging Theo to intervene. But Ian? He tuned out the noise, locking eyes on a specific target. While the other kids were crumbling from the agony, this one red-headed kid stood ramrod straight, unbreaking. Ian needed a name. "That's Barrack," Theo scoffed. "Total nightmare." As if sensing the trash talk, the kid shot a glare in their direction. Screams erupted nearby. A boy next to Barrack collapsed, but the redhead didn't flinch. Zell gulped, realizing this kid was dangerous news. Theo let out a heavy sigh, admitting the kid had his uses, despite the attitude. The drill finally halted. Barrack slumped, catching his breath, before firing a look of pure venom right at Ian's crew. Then the captain dropped a hard truth bomb. "Talent isn't fair. Sometimes, the grind just isn't enough to get you to the top. Know when to fold 'em," was the subtext. Sometimes quitting is the only smart play. "Know your place." The captain's eyes bored into Ian while he said it. No mystery who that little jab was meant for. Ian brushed off the shade, signaling the crew to grab some rest under the trees now that the show was over. Truthfully, he couldn't stand watching Barrack. It was like looking in a mirror from a darker timeline where luck hadn't saved him. While the others chilled, Ian doubled back to Barrack solo. He crouched across from the exhausted kid, flashing a grin. "Can you stand?" Ian introduced himself, dropping his name. Barrack couldn't care less, grunting at him to get lost. "Rude much," Ian muttered. He gripped Barrack's chin, forcing eye contact. "I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that disrespect." Barrack jerked his head free, snarling at Ian to beat it and leave him in peace. Time for plan B. Ian tilted his flask, pouring water into Barrack's mouth. He knew mana reacted violently with regular folks, but for anyone with even a spark of magical potential, the reaction would be instant and explosive. Let's see what happens. The second the liquid hit his tongue, Barrack's eyes snapped wide, literally shimmering with light. It was faint, but Ian felt it, the signature aura of a magic swordsman. Barrack, sensing the weird energy spike, panicked. He slapped the flask from Ian's grip. "What did you dose me with?" Ian just shrugged. "Nothing. Pure H2O. You look lively enough," Ian quipped, walking away. Barrack stared at his retreating back, realizing his fatigue had totally vanished. He opened his mouth to speak, but Ian was already gone. Cut to evening. Ian was stuck in a boring lecture with his tutor. Ian roped the teacher into helping draft a letter to his mom. Just the usual "I'm alive and kicking" update. He told her not to stress. then added some lyrics for flavor. The moon dips low, the sun takes flight, an endless night fades into light. Ian set the quill down, asking the tutor if the grammar checked out. The tutor smiled, giving it the thumbs up. Ian thanked him, and the guy started frantically packing his books. He muttered something about it being a breeze. Ian narrowed his eyes. "You've been acting super busy lately, Teach. Like you're running from something." The tutor froze, sweat beading on his forehead. "Where did that come from? You just seem off." Ian shrugged. "I know you're from Burial Central Uni, so maybe it's that? You don't have to spill the tea if you don't want to." The guy jammed papers into his satchel, dodging the question. "You and your sudden interrogations, young master." Ian let it slide. "Got it. You're dismissed." The tutor practically bolted out of his chair to say goodbye. But in his rush to leave, he dropped something. Ian picked it up, documents about the desert region. Interesting. Next morning, back to the grind. Zell was gasping for air, lungs burning. "How much longer?" he wheezed. 40 minutes, Theo barked. "Pick up the pace." Suddenly, screams from the sparring ring caught Ian's ear. Barrick was going feral on another kid, Merrill. He roared, launching a wooden sword assault that was way too intense for practice. He swung for the neck, lethal intent. Before Merrill could recover, Barrick was on him again, smothering any chance of a counter. Merrill blocked frantically, screaming curses. "Chill out, man." But Barrick was deaf to it. He wound up for a finisher. Merrill tried a desperate jab, but Barrick parried it easily. With a grit of his teeth, Barrick shoved the kid backward with brute force. Merrill slammed spine first into a stack of crates. "Enough!" Ian shouted, stepping in. "Barrick!" Barrick whipped around, eyes blazing. "Did the sun fry your brain? Keep my name out of your mouth." Merrill shakily got to his feet. "Nobody won that," he gasped. Merrill glared down at him, letting out a heavy, disappointed sigh. "You got a death wish or something?" Bam, a sucker punch to the gut followed, launching the kid backward like a rag doll. Merrill didn't let up, raining down curses and fists while the peanut gallery sat back, cracking up at the show. Dusting off his hands, Merrill dropped a cold truth bomb. "Keep acting tough like that, and your history." Barrick just wheezed, lungs burning. Dude didn't have the energy to clap back. Once Merrill strutted off, Ian slid into the frame. "That jerk again? Thought I told you to bounce." Ian leaned in, whispering, "You gotta find a way to crush him, man." Barrick snapped, eyes blazing. "You want me to fight dirty? I ain't about that life." Ian smirked, cool as ice. "Oh, is that right?" Barrick gripped his hilt, growling, "Keep yapping, and I'll end you." Ian just shrugged, dropping a savage line. "Honestly, I almost feel bad for you." That did it. Barrick lunged, but Ian stopped him cold with a single finger to the forehead. Boop. Pure mana surged from Ian's touch. Barrick felt that rush magic flowing through him and instantly grinned like a maniac. Ian backed off, analyzing the data. Confirmed, this guy isn't just a fighter, he's a legit magic swordsman. Zero hesitation, Barrick launched himself at Merrill, who was busy yapping with his squad and didn't see it coming. Merrill froze too late. The kid slammed him down with a psycho grin. The impact was so heavy, the floor literally cracked beneath Merrill's skull. Merrill shrieked in shock, but Barrick turned his face into a punching bag. The squad just stood there, buffering, total confusion painted on their faces. Finally, their brains rebooted. They dogpiled Barrick, desperate to peel him off their battered buddy. Even pinned down by the group, Barrick was cackling like a villain. This is exactly what I was waiting for. Thinking it was game over? Nah, stupid move." The captain rushed in and booted Barrick right in the dome. He barked orders. "Drag Merrill to the medic. Throw this psycho in the brig." Then, his eyes locked onto Ian. He'd seen them talking earlier. The captain marched over, suspicion written all over his face. "You got a hand in this mess, kid?" Ian played it cool, face blank. "Me? Nah, I was just the sounding board for his vent session." Watching the guards drag the boys away, Theo sighed. "Let's call it a day, folks." The vibe on the training ground was weirdly heavy. Ian asked, "So, what's the verdict for Barrick?" Theo shrugged. "Kid's a sneak. We gotta deliberate on that one. But let's be real, it's obvious. Beatdown followed by expulsion." Ian mused. "Not exactly my plan A, but not a total loss. If he's a rogue agent out on the streets, he's actually more useful to me." Cut to later. Ian met up with Sir Mullen and his crew to circle back on their earlier chat. "So, you guys made a call?" They exchanged nervous glances. Mullen cleared his throat. "The Earl. Well, the man knows his stuff. We decided we need hard proof first. We need an assist." Ian nodded. "Say less. I'll handle the data gathering. I'll track regional grain stocks, mountain mining ops, and farmer tax rates." The old man grinned, impressed. "Glad to see you've got a spine, kid. This move decides our future. You've earned our respect." Ian thanked him, but his brain was working overtime. That brooch on Mullen's chest, it matched the emblem on the teacher's dropped paper. Connect the dots. There's some shady business going on between them. Ian mentally filed that intel away for later leverage. Meeting adjourned. Ian went for a stroll, but yoink. Someone grabbed his collar out of nowhere. He got dragged into the shadows around the corner. Servants heard the scuffle but totally ignored it. They figured it was just stray dogs fighting. Close enough. The wild dog was actually Barrick. Barrick slammed Ian against the brick wall, blocking his exit. Ian didn't even flinch. Unique way to say hello. How'd you get out? Barrick spat. Argued all night, until the head butler caved. Said I could roam free. Ian thought, damn, Count Brock moves faster than light when he wants to. Ian opened his mouth, but Barrick cut him off. Shut up. What did you drug me with? What did you give me? Every time Barrick saw Ian, he got this weird, uneasy feeling. He didn't get it, but Ian decided it was truth bomb time. I don't use cheap parlor tricks. Ian chuckled. You've got guts, kid, but no brains. That water? It was just tap water from the reserve. I barely touched you. Barrick stared, totally lost in the sauce. Seeing the confusion, Ian dropped his hand. Fine, I'll satisfy that curiosity of yours. But first, a vow. Magic flared up. Ian ordered, you breathe a word about my golden eyes, or disrespect me, and it's over. But Barrick wasn't listening. He was too shook. He yelled, golden eyes? Ian sighed. Are you thick? I wasn't finished. Listen up. From now on, you're my shadow, my bodyguard, everywhere. Ian could feel the raw power humming inside the kid. Ian was ready to force the truth into the open. He pressed a palm against the boy's chest, channeling a surge of mana so intense Barrick had no choice but to feel it. Then, the question dropped. Ever heard of magic sword mastery? Barrick just stared blankly. Ian tried again, lowering the bar. Okay, how about just magic? Basic spells? Still nothing. The kid was clueless. Ian let out a long, heavy sigh, burying his face in his hands. This was going to be harder than he thought. Listen up, and listen close, Ian commanded, his voice serious. I'm breaking this down once. There are rare individuals in this world, whose souls vibrate with power. That resonance? It's magic. You've got it, kid. But right now, that dormant magic is acting like a glitch, blocking your physical energy. That's why your training feels useless. You're hitting a wall because you aren't using your mana. Barrick pointed a finger at his own chest, eyes wide. So, the magic is choking my strength? Ian nodded. Exactly. We just need to build a bridge. We need to sync your body's energy with your soul. Once those two forces harmonize. Before Ian could even finish the theory, Barrick's eyes lit up. He cut Ian off, practically vibrating with excitement. And you're gonna build that bridge for me, right? Ian tried to slow him down, telling him to chill and listen, but Barrick was way too hyped. The kid was ready to jump in head first. Ian narrowed his eyes. You sure you want to rush this? You'll have to be my bodyguard, everywhere, even if I leave the country. Barrick didn't hesitate for a second. Family, home, dying, none of that mattered to him. If I don't stick with you, I'll just starve to death in a gutter anyway. Ian smirked at the brutal honesty. He held out his hand. So, we have a deal? Barrick grabbed Ian's hand, gripping it with a massive, goofy grin. Ian studied him. The kid was stubborn, reckless, and totally carefree. Maybe that was exactly the vibe a magic swordsman needed. Legend says the strongest warriors are the weirdest ones. The unique ones. They're the types who never tap out, never miss a lethal opening, and treat death like a minor inconvenience. A warrior with zero fear has zero equals. A brilliant golden aura erupted around them, sealing the pact. Barrick beamed, feeling a strange new power humming in his veins. Ian squeezed the boy's hand tighter. From now on, we're friends. Fast forward to the next morning. Ian sat at the breakfast table, half asleep. His father was droning on about something, but Ian was barely conscious until a sharp beam of sunlight pierced his eyes, jolting him awake. His father clicked his tongue, annoyed. Drifting off again, are we? But Ian wasn't listening. He was locked in on the ring on his father's finger. He'd never pinned Count Durga as a jewelry guy, yet that ring never came off. Wedding band? Nah, didn't look like one. Usually, gems are cut with facets to catch the light, designed to sparkle and look expensive. But this stone? Flat, dull, utilitarian. That wasn't a fashion statement. That ring had a function. Come to think of it, hadn't he seen the Count use that exact ring to access something in his office? Suddenly, a noise snapped him back to reality. He looked up, confused. The Count glared at him. Stop daydreaming and focus on your book. Ian quickly apologized, acting the part of the obedient son. Then the Count dropped a bomb. I hear you've made a friend. Ian paused. You mean Barrick? I met him during training. We hit it off. Ian's mind raced. He thought the Count would banish the kid after the incident, but he was actually allowing the friendship? Mary, the maid, looked terrified. Wait, what incident? The Count answered with a chilling smile. Oh, the boy just assaulted someone. No big deal. Mary turned pale. You befriended the violent kid? The Count waved his hand dismissively. I don't care who he hangs out with, as long as his grades don't slip. But hear this. If Ian doesn't master reading and writing in 1 month, I'll view that boy as a distraction, and I'll have him executed. High stakes established. After breakfast, Ian headed to the garden. He spotted his tutor deep in conversation with Sir Mullen. Mullen whispered some instructions and vanished. The tutor sighed, looking relieved. But he relaxed too soon. Ian stepped out of the shadows, holding some papers. There you are. I was looking for you. He paused dramatically. Sir Mullen seemed like he was in a hurry. The teacher froze. He looked like a deer in headlights. Oh, we just exchanged a few words. Nothing important. Really? Ian raised an eyebrow. Looked like a pretty long chat to me. He let the silence hang. They were out in the provinces here. The Emperor's grip was weak, and Ian's father was technically in a cold war with the crown. This wasn't just a chat. It was suspicious. Ian shoved the lost document into the teacher's hands. What do you think my father would do if he knew a capital official was having secret meetings with his son's private tutor in a secluded corner of the garden? Ian didn't need to say it. The teacher wasn't worried about what the Count would think. He was terrified of what the Count would do. The man started stammering, begging Ian to believe it was just idle gossip. Can't you just pretend you didn't see us? Ian smiled. Hook, line, and sinker. I could be persuaded to forget, but I have a condition. Tomorrow, you need to talk to my father. Talk about the weather, politics, I don't care. Just keep him busy in the garden for at least 30 minutes. The teacher blinked, nervous sweat beading on his forehead. That's it? Ian's smile sharpened. Well, there is one more tiny thing. This document you dropped, it mentions the climate in the great desert territory of the unearthly warriors. Since you clearly know so much about that region, I'm going to need you to get me a map. On top of that, he needs the scoop on the late spring climate. He locks eyes with the guy, trusting his sharp wit to catch the drift without spelling it out. Nervous energy radiating off him. The teacher bows low, stuttering that he gets the message loud and clear. They split up. Back in his quarters, the MC wastes zero time, channeling his magic to conjure a mental image of that specific ring. He's calculating everything, circumference, finger size, the works. But then, a snag hits him hard. The dude has absolutely no clue how to sketch the thing. He gives it a shot anyway. Handing the sketch to Hannah, she stares at it, skepticism written all over her face, asking if he seriously drew this himself. Honestly, the art is so janky, she can barely tell what object she's looking at. Squinting closer, she spots a massive stone, thumb-sized. It clicks. That looks exactly like the bling the Count rocks. He nods, confirming her hunch. She drops a detail. The Count never bothers with a wedding band, but this specific ring, it never leaves his finger. Weirdly, the guy claims to hate diamonds, yet this piece is rocking one. Simple cut, but the color is totally offbeat. It's distinct enough that it always grabs her attention. Ian smirks, noting that she's got eagle eyes for details. It strikes him as odd. Why fashion a key out of a diamond? Is there a functional reason for that specific gem? Then, it hits him like a lightning bolt. Diamonds are insulators, they don't conduct electricity. It's for a high-tech secret drawer. There has to be a shock trap rigged to it. He flashes a grin at the maid thanks to her intel. He just hatched a genius plan. The mission: find a carpenter to craft a dummy ring based on the design, but coat the top in rubber. She dashes off to make it happen. Once the prop is secured, it's showtime. Sticking to the script, the teacher lures the Count out of his office, trapping him in a tedious conversation. Meanwhile, our MC is lurking down the hall, watching like a hawk. The second the coast is clear, he steps out and signals Hannah for the package. He inspects the goods. The size is a perfect match to the original. And the rubber coating? Spot on. This carpenter's got skills. He flips the girl a couple of coins as a reward. He tells her that should keep her siblings fed for a good long while. Her face lights up, because that cash is enough to survive for weeks. He orders her to stand guard, slips into the office, and holds out a hand to Barrick, checking if he's locked and loaded. Barrick sighs heavily, clasping the hand back, whining about why he has to be part of this. Ian channels magic into him through the grip, ordering him to block the door at all costs. He asks if he's up for the task. Barrick flashes a confident smirk, realizing his role is crucial. If he chokes now, the whole operation goes bust. Suddenly, he's hyped, looking like he's actually hoping someone tries to get past him, just so he can throw down. Promising to be quick, Ian dives into the Count's office and scans the desk. Boom, he spots the hidden button instantly, activates the mechanism, and the secret drawer slides open. Ian's relieved. The tech is way simpler than he expected. Inside, he unearths a letter from a clan of otherworldly warriors. Problem is, the language is gibberish to him. Instead of decoding it, he decides to just transcribe the symbols manually. Slapping a date and a stamp on it makes it look legit. The Treasury will cross-reference this forgery with the Count's tax logs. Job done. He starts shuffling the papers back to cover his tracks. Suddenly knock knock. A servant's voice calls out, asking if the Count is inside. The guy doesn't even wait for a reply before barging in. He spots Ian and freezes, totally stunned. No time to explain. Ian blasts him with sleep magic, dropping him instantly, and makes his escape. When the Count returns to find his servant passed out cold, he sees red. The butler is standing there, clueless about how to handle the mess. Flying into a rage, the Count orders the butler to dispose of the guy and seize everything he owns. He's screaming so loud, you can hear it through the walls. Later, Barrack watches servants scrambling like headless chickens outside the estate. He notes the chaos, wondering how the whole drama played out. The MC admits it was dicey, but the dust has settled. Barrack points out that thanks to someone, he nearly got killed. He asks if the Count figured out the assistant was snooping. Ian counters with a question. Does it matter if it's true as long as he believes it? Since the drawer was tossed, the Count is convinced that sleeping assistant is the culprit. Barrack got lucky, and the fallout wasn't total destruction. But now they've got a new puzzle. He scrutinizes the papers the teacher handed over. It's a sketched map and a weather forecast for the desert. Looks like a massive sandstorm is brewing. On top of that, he's finally translated that copied letter. The big question, who's the successor? He wonders why this info was vital enough to lock in a safe. It reads just like a personal letter to someone. Thoughts of the supernatural warrior clan were swirling in his head until Barrack snapped him back to reality. The big guy stared at the letter, confused. I got it, boss, Barrack grunted. Black stuff is words, white stuff is paper. Ian snatched the note back and folded it sharp. Congrats on being literate, Ian deadpanned. But keep it down. Do you actually remember the plan? Or was I talking to a wall? Barrack ticked it off on his fingers. Ditch the key, hand the slip to Sir Mullen, grab the gold, hit up Phileas on the return trip. And the message for your mom? Ian pressed. Tell her to bail, hide, hoard those gula seeds like her life depends on it. Ian walked to the window, impressed. Not bad, big guy. You actually listened for once. Suddenly, noise erupted from the courtyard. Ian peeked through the blinds. Looks like our foreign guests just spawned in. He smirked at Barrack. Hey, where did I tell you to exit? The main gate? Yeah, main gate, Barrack nodded. Change of plans, Ian cut in. Hit the back door. Move. Ian scanned the courtyard. The crew below was dismounting their camels, heads on a swivel, checking the perimeter. He locked eyes with one of the scouts. A slow grin spread across Ian's face. Things are about to get loud at the front gate. By sundown, the dust had settled. The Count and Ian rolled up to face the visitors. It was showtime. Enter the messenger, Balami Sin Nursoran, little brother to the chief of Kakantir, a legit heavyweight from the warrior clan. Ian put on his best diplomatic mask. An honor to meet you, but what's the rush? Nursoran dropped the bomb. The deputy head is critical. We need to fast-track the peace treaty, Nursoran insisted. This requires immediate prep. In their clan, the deputy isn't just a VP. Her death is a bigger deal than the chief kicking the bucket. The chief is just a political winner. The deputy? She's the spiritual anchor. Basically a demigod to them. If she dies, it's a mandatory 1-year mournfest. No business allowed. They need ink on paper before she takes her last breath. The Count started sweating bullets. Tragic, sure. But why bring this drama to our doorstep? If it was the chief, fine, the Count thought. But preparing a funeral for the deputy? That's heavy. Nursoran's eyes intensified. She is our compass, the righteous eye. She sees the truth in men's souls. Our clan values eye contact, and young Master Ian needs to look her dead in the eye to prove he's worthy. The Count panicked. You doubting his bloodline? I sent the Emperor's decree. That paperwork is ironclad. You mean the paper that mysteriously never arrived? Nursoran countered. Ian is my second wife's son, the Count argued. That decree isn't fake news. The docs prove it. Nursoran glanced at Ian, skeptical. Paper can lie. The deputy's eyes cannot. We'll verify that family tree personally. Ian's mind was racing. The administration had cooked the books to fit him into the Count's family register. It was a power play to dodge suspicion. But if the old lady dies now, the whole peace deal implodes. He needed to leverage the chaos. I can produce a register showing sudden changes, Ian thought. Make cooperation look like their only option. He shot a look at the Count. Durga pulled him into a sweaty, nervous hug. I get the situation, he lied through his teeth. If things are changing, my boy just needs to get his head right mentally. Let's table this, the Count stammered. Rest up, we talk tomorrow. He gripped Ian's shoulder way too hard. The butler will take you to your room. Nursoran bowed. Icy. Make the right choice. For the sake of peace. That night, the Count was in full panic mode. Get the carriage ready, now, he screamed at the servants. Those savages crashing my place with their problems? Unbelievable. He was bailing. Stay sharp, kid, he told Ian before fleeing. That guy is the chief's brother. I'll handle the paperwork while I'm away. Give him a proper welcome, the Count added. Ian played along. Loud and clear, father. The Count jumped in the carriage and peeled out of there. Ian watched the dust settle with a smirk. Running scared to fix the records, huh? Finally, the nuisance was gone. Ian was the captain now. Set the table, Ian ordered. Invite Nersoren. We're dining. Dinner was served. Sue, Ian's subordinate, was practically drooling on the table. Ian watched with amusement. I need a +1 for the trip, Ian said. Nersoren frowned deeply. The deal was for you. The extras are dead weight. Dead weight? Ian chuckled. I don't think so. I'm talking about Barrick. He's currently running an errand, Ian explained. But the guy is an absolute unit in combat. Nersoren laughed, thinking it was a gag. You're funny, kid. Ian's smile vanished. I'm not joking. The air in the room instantly turned to ice. The dude scanned him like a barcode, asking what kind of trash he was spewing. To him, Ian looked just like any other grunt. He was basically implying, you want me to drag 2 amateurs who aren't poison-proof into the desert? You guys will dry out like raisins. Did he think the desert was a joke? Ian kept his cool, asking why he was tripping. Having extra muscle wouldn't kill them. Look, Barrick might not be a genius, but the guy is a total tank. Don't stress about it. They can handle the heat. Nersoren smirked he'd consider it if they could beat his squad in a fight. Ian turned to Barrick. It was go time. They stepped outside to throw hands. Sue sighed, dragging her feet. Why do I have to babysit? Being the rookie was absolute garbage. She held up 5 fingers. You get 5 minutes. Barrick blinked. Wait, I have to fight her? Is this a prank? But the main crew didn't even bother coming out to watch. Ian warned Barrick. Stay sharp, big guy. You lose this because you're lazy. You'll regret it. Ian realized the disrespect they stayed inside because they thought this match was a waste of time. The power gap was massive. Suddenly, Barrick spotted a glow in an upper window. Yo, who's lurking up there? Ian glanced up. That's Nersoren. The god of death? Barrick scoffed, clearly annoyed. He's gonna watch from the VIP box? The audacity to look down on me. Ian chuckled, telling him to chill out. Just get the W. Then, he slyly funneled some mana into Barrick's system. Listen close, Ian whispered, dropping the game plan. He walked over to Sue. She raised an eyebrow. He ready to get wrecked? Like she said, 5 minutes on the clock. She checked her timer, grinning like a predator. If you can knock me out before the buzzer, then you win. Barrick tied his hair back, locking in. 5 minutes? Plenty of time. Just don't cry when I hurt you. As soon as the words left his mouth, he launched himself forward, fist cocked back to smash her face in. Whoosh! She vanished, reappearing behind him. Only one crying is gonna be you, big guy. Barrick spun around, eyes wide. As she closed the distance, he swung wildly. She danced to the side, smooth as water. You fighting ghosts? She mocked. I'm right here. She dropped her hands to the dirt and snap-kicked him right in the jaw. Barrick howled, stumbling back, but managed to stay vertical. He swiped the blood from his nose, looking furious. With moves that sloppy, she teased. You planning to just be a punching bag for 5 minutes? Barrick snapped. You're the one who's gonna be hurting. Time was still on the clock. He smirked, diving back into the fray. Ian watched from the sidelines. Classic setup. Barrick was getting cooked. Sue started pressuring him, hard. She wasn't giving him room to breathe. Seeing him struggle, she smirked. Time for the finishing move. She leaped into the air, winding up a devastating kick. That was the moment. Ian pushed his magic into Barrick's signal sent. Barrick's reflexes spiked. He snatched her leg out of the air. Her eyes went wide. She was shook. He yanked her closer. Gotcha, he growled. My turn. Then, a sharp scream pierced the air. Barrick had her in a grapple lock. Let go, she shrieked. Barrick shrugged. Boss's orders. Just a little more pressure, and he would have snapped her like a twig. Instead, he took his bloody hand and smeared it all over her face. Now, she had a massive, red handprint right on her mug. She cursed him out. Ian stepped in, smooth as ever. Nersoren sent the kid, so he wouldn't spill too much blood. Just wipe it off and call it a win. Though honestly, the red look kinda suits her. Very avant-garde. Sue gritted her teeth, calling Barrick a fat tub of lard, demanding release. Barrick looked offended. Ian looked up at Nersoren's window. Let her go, he told Barrick. We've got a deal to close. Later, Nersoren was chewing Sue out, but he turned to Ian, defensive. I made it clear this was just sparring, and your boy pulls a stunt like that? Feels like a slap in the face to us. Ian kept his poker face. My bad if it came off wrong. But hey, isn't a little face paint better than me actually breaking her bones? Nersoren blinked. You joking? Ian doubled down. Does the ambassador really think we're reckless? Look at Sue. Her face is red, sure, but imagine if my guy actually hit her full force. She wouldn't be standing. They locked eyes for a second. And then Nersoren burst out laughing. He grabbed his head, shaking it. You've got guts, young count. I like that. He grinned. All right, you win. His name's Barrick, right? Pack your bags, big guy. You're coming to the Great Desert. Ian bowed. Appreciate it. Sue started screaming, totally losing it over the humiliation. Give me something to fix my face. She spun on Barrack, eyes blazing. Just wait till we hit the desert. I'm gonna make your life a nightmare. Barrack just made a goofy face and mocked her voice in a high-pitched squeak. Pure comedy. A bit later, Count Durga dropped the news. He listened to the advice. Peace treaty ready in 1 week. The clock was ticking. The squad mobilized immediately. Narsarin gave a respectful nod, acknowledging the hustle and appreciating the understanding. Time to bounce. He asked Narsarin to send big respect to the unearthly warriors' leader on their behalf. A final handshake, and they split. 1 week later, Ian's maid, Hannah, was an emotional wreck, clinging to him and begging him to survive this trip. Alan was waiting for him too. She promised Alan would cook up a feast for his birthday. Just come back to her, she pleaded with him to stay safe. Ian locked eyes with her. Cold. Serious. He told her to listen close. She needed to quit her job the second he was gone. Hannah froze, totally blindsided. What did you just say? Why? Ian didn't flinch. It's gonna be tough. But I promise, this is for your own good. Just vanish. Quit without making a scene or grabbing any attention. Thanks for everything. Hannah whispered, a broken please. But Ian was already checking out mentally. He had officially burned that bridge. No turning back now. It was time to gear up for the trek to the unearthly warrior clan. Later, under a brutal, scorching sun, a convoy of chariots rolled into the city. Kakantir greeted them with surprising warmth. Introductions were made. This guy was the big boss, leader of the unearthly clan. Durga stepped up, hand extended. Durga dropped his title Count of the Burial Empire. Kakantir looked impressed. They actually showed up in the flesh. The chief suggested they get straight to business signing the pact. Durga eyed the setup, calculating his next move. Durga slammed a vial on the table. Blood kinship potion. Time to prove this kid was really his son. They sliced their fingers, mixing blood. The liquid glowed a neon blue. Success. Narsarin leaned in, whispering something into Kakantir's ear. The vibe in the room shifted to suspicious. After a tense silence, Kakantir nodded. Cool. But I still need First Advisor Vincent to give the final verdict. The official ceremony would have to wait. Durga realized these guys trusted an old shaman's intuition more than magical science. Barbarians. That's the only word for them. Keeping his poker face, Durga agreed to play by their rules. Suddenly, Kakantir took a knife and sliced his palm deep, signing the pact with his own fresh blood. Savage. That's my signature, he declared. Effective right now. Durga flashed a practiced, political smile. Eternal glory to House Brock and the unearthly warrior clan. Pleasantries over, they stepped out into the heat. Durga pulled Ian in for a hug, not out of love, but control. Take care of yourself, he warned. Ian played along. Yes, father. Durga leaned closer. Remember the only reason you're still breathing. Ian didn't hesitate. For the glory and honor of House Brock. Obviously. Moments later, Ian and Barrack were isolated on a gritty, sandy road. A gale force wind blasted them. Barrack was melting in the heat, chugging water like it was his last day on Earth. Ian huddled with the crew. They were checking the map when a shout tore through the air. Chief Kakantir was back. The chief looked wiped out from the trip. The order went out. Prep food and water for the boss. Stat. A stranger walked in, eyeing Ian and Barrack, trying to figure out who was the VIP. Probably the blonde kid, since the redhead looked completely lost in the sauce. Kakantir stood up. How's First Advisor Vincent? The subordinate reported she was rallying. Kakantir nodded, relieved. Good, let's roll. Ian watched the chief move and immediately fell in line, tailing him. Inside the room, Kakantir sat by the bed where Vincent lay. The legendary First Advisor looked frail. Kakantir announced Ian's arrival, the living collateral for the peace treaty with Count Brock. Ian bowed respectfully. Vincent struggled to sit up, whispering frantically into Kakantir's ear. The chief turned to Ian. She's struggling to speak, so she's using the old dialect. You won't understand a word. I'll translate for you. Vincent called Ian by name. She needed a closer look. She had to judge if he was worthy. Get over here, now. Ian approached her slowly, tension spiking. Bam! Vincent snatched his hand, staring deep into his soul. Did the gods send you? Ian didn't stutter. Yes. She pressed harder. Are you really Durga's blood? Ian confirmed it again. Does your presence mean peace? Ian swore it was his only mission. A heavy, awkward silence suffocated the room. Suddenly, she dropped his hand. She stared at the floor, totally zoned out. Kakantir called her name. No response. He decided to pull the plug. She needs rest. We're leaving. Meanwhile, Barrack was waiting outside. He was surprised to see them bounce so fast. Kakantir and Ian stepped out, the meeting abruptly over. The chief barked orders to get Ian and his bodyguards set up in the guest estate. Then, he turned to Ian. Welcome feast tonight. Don't be late. Ian stood there, watching him walk away, totally confused by the whole interaction. Suddenly, Barak rushed the scene, breathless. What's the verdict from the chief? Jan didn't skip a beat. Party tonight. Big celebration. And punctuality is mandatory. Eric's mood hit the ceiling instantly. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the festivities were already roaring. Jan and Eric rolled up right on schedule. Eric immediately started shoveling food into his face like a vacuum. Absolutely no chill. He was practically inhaling the buffet. Out of nowhere, the chieftain materialized, looming over them. You boys managed to catch a breath? We did. Jan nodded smoothly. Appreciate the hospitality. The chief gave a curt nod. Solid. Take a load off. The map of the Great Desert he'd handed over? Absolute gold. A total game changer. Consider it a gift from my house, the chief rumbled. It's yours to keep. A permanent perk? We'll put it to good use, Jan confirmed. Meanwhile, his brain was working overtime. Count Durga actually raised a competent son? That was the real shocker. Then, Jan clocked the smoke. Is that a roll of garut leaves? That exotic stuff? Rumor had it, the supernatural clans used dried garut as a hardcore combat stimulant. Steroids for soldiers. That stuff hits way harder than standard meds. Durga had been plotting to snag that plant for ages. Total schemer. He claimed his mom sent a care package, which was super sus, considering the guy couldn't read, and his mom knew it. The letter claimed she heard about this garut stuff unearthly warriors smoke. Be a dear and bring some home, she supposedly wrote. Keep it on the down low, the letter added. Handwriting was way too fancy for a peasant. His dad clearly wanted him to mule the drugs. And if the plan went south, blame the mom. Classic deflect. Suddenly, Cockantier's voice cut through his thoughts. Listen close, kid. I'm warning you for your own good. His tone dropped. Don't even look at the garut leaves. This tobacco is military grade. Clan warriors only. Before battle. Jan read between the lines instantly. He'd be breathing secondhand smoke, but asking questions? That was a one-way ticket to trouble. Jan flashed a disarming smile. Loud and clear. Under the surface, though, he was impressed. This leader didn't miss a beat. But if Jan played this right, if he manipulated this smuggling angle, he could shatter the clan's peace treaty wide open. He spun around, sensing eyes on him. Someone was drilling a hole in his back. Jan nudged Sue. Who's the creep? She glanced over. That's Boomart, Lord Narsaran's kin, cousin to the second stepmom or something. He runs the food supply. Jan narrowed his eyes. Why was the guy mean-mugging him like that? It was seriously unnerving. Suddenly, a lackey rushed up to Cockatier, looking panicked. Chief, a word? He whispered something urgent. Cockatier shot up like a rocket and bolted. Jan watched the chaos unfold, totally confused. Let me guess, Jan murmured. First advisor Vincent had another episode? Sue looked grim. That was the doctor. She's critical. We don't know when she'll be. Sent to the ancestors. Sounds severe, Jan pressed. No cure? Sue looked devastated, silence hanging heavy between them. There is one thing, she finally whispered. But it's basically a myth. The Silask flower. People say it never wilts. But honestly, most doubt it even exists. Jan paused. An immortal flower? Jan stood there, totally floored. His mind raced, picturing the bloom. How was that biologically possible? Time skipped forward. Night settled in. The first advisor had been comatose since yesterday. Cockatier was spiraling, barking orders to send more search parties. But the last crew was MIA. They were stuck waiting. Suddenly, the chief whipped around to Narsaran. Why is he here? Pointing at Jan. He claims he might have intel on the flower. Narsaran dropped the bomb. The entire room froze. Whispers erupted like wildfire. Everyone started side-eyeing Jan. Cockatier glared. You know where the plant is? Bam. Cockatier slammed the table, silencing the room. Don't toy with us, boy. This is internal business. Get back to your quarters. Jan held his ground. I heard about a flower that never dies. The Silask. Tell me, is it blood red? Cockatier looked like he'd been slapped. He spun back around. You've seen it? Jan shrugged casually. Just a hunch. Might have spotted one in my father's territory. But before I spill the location, Jan cut in, voice steady. I have a request. Brock County belongs to the Burial Empire. The Emperor sanctioned this trip. I'm here on his orders. So, I'm demanding a guarantee, safety and respect. Not just as a guest, but as an imperial representative. Cockatier cracked a dangerous smile. Cute. Let me ask you this. If I drop you right now, do you really think the Empire sends an army for a corpse? Fingers tightened like a vice around the MC's throat. Cockatier leaned in close, his breath hot with menace, promising that if Ian was bluffing, it was game over. Ian clawed at the iron grip, crushing his windpipe, gasping out a response. He couldn't promise troops, but mess with him? That's a one-way ticket to disaster. The ancient spirit of the Imperial Palace wasn't just history, it was alive inside him. Sure, his blood might scream Brack family, but his soul? That was pure palace royalty. Cockatier barked a laugh. The Imperial soul? Stop capping. Fine. Clowns like you are exactly why God sent us, Madame Vincent. Moments later, Kakantir hauled Ian into Vincent's chambers, throwing him down. This kid claims he's got the intel, and says he's housing the Imperial spirit. Legit or nah? Vincent's gaze bore into him like a laser. She reached out, sweeping her hand through the air in a mystic ritual. Kakantir's jaw hit the floor at the sight, and something clicked for Ian. Suddenly, Vincent started hacking, gasping for air like she was drowning. She face-planted right in front of them. The aides freaked out, scrambling to lift her, screaming their heads off. Ian turned to the stunned warlord. The cure. It's in my room. That flower. Kakantir roared orders to his squad, demanding they tear the room apart to find that red bloom. Later, as Ian strolled out, Kakantir got up in his grill, demanding to know why everyone was losing their minds. What's the play here? Ian just smirked. Relax. Consider it a housewarming gift. First of many from the Bariel Empire's guest. With the crimson flower resting on his desk, Kakantir's attitude did a 180. He bowed deep. As clan rep, I gotta give credit where it's due. You saved us. The MC shook his head. Based on the intel I have, that one flower won't cut it. You need more roots to brew the real antidote. Kakantir frowned. You helped us once. Can't you source a few more? Ian shrugged. No promises. That pot was my personal stash. And honestly, I barely remember the growing tech. I know a guy who can help, but his DMs are closed until a month post-full moon. Kakantir squinted. A month after the full moon? Why the lag? If we hustled, we could be there in 3 or 4 days. Ian cut him off. You want the full story? Make me a promise first. Kakantir signaled to proceed. Ian dropped the bomb. When you deal with the Brax, I come first, before my father. Kakantir raised an eyebrow. Planning a little patricide? The MC didn't flinch. Strongest leads the pack. Isn't that the desert way? Kakantir chuckled, then sighed. Sorry, kid. Can't give you that leverage. I don't control the army. And the grain shipments? Above my pay grade. The MC looked down, feigning defeat. Fine. Here's the tea. The Imperial Inquisition is en route. They're coming for heads. Specifically for tax evasion. Treason. Give it a month, and the Brack name is deleted from history. Kakantir gasped. You serious right now? Ian swore on his life. No lies detected. The entourage pressed him. Source? Ian leaned in. Central government reps, who arrived pre-ceremony. They were vetting me to see if I was worthy of the deal. If the Bracks crash and burn, I'm collateral damage, right? Ian smirked. That's the kicker. I'm a Darga's blood, sure. But legally, I'm a ghost. The paperwork isn't signed. I'm not Ian Brack, just Ian. Kakantir and Narsarin stood there, absolutely shook. The Empire has zero dirt on me, no treason charge, which means I'm primed to take the throne. Kakantir realized the play, so they sent us a nobody. A son who isn't even on the roster? We got scammed, Ian countered smoothly. I told you I'm a Darga's son. I've got clout in the clan. Don't get it twisted. I'm the winning bet here. Kakantir's face darkened, menace returning. Is that your final pitch? Ian nodded. I know you don't trust me, so here's the spoiler. The second my old man kicks the bucket, and the territory goes into chaos, we strike. You gather your warriors, we invade Brackland. Together. And the best part? The Imperial Army won't lift a finger. We avoid the drama, and nobody's gonna want smoke with the desert's finest warriors. Worst case scenario? If things go south, he just bounces back to the desert. No fighting required. The clan just needs to have his back. And considering his history with the Brock family, this is a solid play. But dropping a line about supporting Ian? That means picking a side. Kakantir knows the stakes are high. It looks safe on paper, but helping an illegitimate son hijack the county? That's a gamble that could blow up in their faces. Ian fires back. Make him count, and he turns the territory into the gold standard of Baril. He's ready to prove it. He's promising the warrior clan a front row seat to real power. He looks Kakantir dead in the eye, and lays it out. No more petty squabbles. This isn't a transactional relationship anymore. Forget the ledgers and contracts. This is two titans shaking hands, building a legacy of peace together. Narsarin throws a wrench in the gears. One issue. If Verg calls in a favor to fight the Imperial Palace, we're handcuffed. That signed treaty makes saying no impossible. Ian just smirks. I've got a loophole. He reveals his father's birthday demand for next year. He has to deliver Groot leaves. He ordered the so-called symbol of peace to smuggle illegal contraband into the country. Groot leaves are strictly black market. Isn't that the perfect breach of contract? He bursts into laughter. That's not just an excuse, Ian grins. That's a get-out-of-jail-free card. Breaking the alliance? That's just the start. You got receipts? Ian admits the paper trail is thin, but they can verify the dirt. With Madame Vincent on our side, we see everything. Kakantir demands a blood oath. Swear on it. Done. Ian doesn't blink. Kakantir cracks up. Fine. He thought the Brocks were clowns, But this kid, he's different. So the deal is set. The clan provides the muscle. The protagonist handles the heavy lifting. Cockatier pauses. One question. Why go this hard? Ian's expression darkens. If I go to the capital. Or, step foot in the palace. Being an outsider means Brock County is the only fortress I have. Bam! Cockatier slams his fist on the table. Let's get one thing straight. We aren't bleeding for your ambition. The protagonist nods. Keep your blood. I don't want it. Cockatier presses. You got a death wish? Ian smiles cold. Not at all. Can't kill what's already dead. I did that once. Cockatier's smirk returns. I like your guts. The handshake seals it. As Ian heads for the door, Cockatier throws one last curveball. This trip to the capital. Does it involve the Emperor? Ian turns back, flashing a cryptic smile. Stepping into the hall, it's chaos. People shouting about the outsider and asking if Zombie Boy is actually alive. Ian scans the crowd and spots Sue. You. She points to herself, confused. Who? Me? I need a favor, Ian commands. What kind? School Barack. Teach him how to actually fight. Cut to the sparring match. Sue is roasting him. Too slow. Lazy. Barack is losing his mind, screaming at her to shut up. Sue keeps trolling him. What was that? I can't hear you over how slow you are. Barack threatens to punch her lights out. Ian watches the comedy unfold and turns to Barack. You good, man? Barack snaps. Don't talk to me, Ian chuckles. Honestly, it's kind of wholesome. He planned a long con to recruit the unearthly warrior clan. But this organic chaos is way better. That flower tea has him feeling chill for the first time in ages. But then the flashbacks hit. The past isn't so rosy. Later, he steps into Vincent's quarters. She summoned him. She's glowing recovery suits her. She speaks in tongues, and Cockatier translates the vibe check. She called you here to finish the talk. Ian nods. Good. I told Cockatier the truth, mostly. He kept the personal baggage hidden, but the clan business? That's facts. Vincent drops a bomb. The spirits say. Rewrite his entire existence. Ian freezes, rattled. Come again? She doubles down. Even if a man has to burn his old life down. Ian realizes this isn't just advice. It's a divine patch note. The warrior clan trusts shamans over temple oracles. This is huge. He closes his eyes. Change everything regarding him. Just another wild twist in his life. Suddenly, a subordinate breaks the tension with a bowl of berries. Try these. Ian thanks her, and she gets all shy, scratching her head. It's nothing. You saved Madame Vincent. You're the reason she's back. The gratitude in the room is real. The whole town was practically rolling out the red carpet with a massive feast. To them, he wasn't just a guest. He was their straight-up savior. Our hero flashed a $1 million smile, thanking her for the royal treatment. But business never sleeps. She dropped the update. The second he recharges, Lord Cockatier and Madame Vincent are expecting an audience. Word was, they wanted to renegotiate the deal. Cool with me, he shrugged. He told her he'd bounce back momentarily since the squad was just wrapping up. I ain't finished yet, Barack roared. But wham! Sue clocked him right in the face, screaming that he was moving slower than a snail in reverse. The attendant dipped into a respectful bow, promising to relay the message to the higher-ups immediately. Then, a light bulb went off. She dug out something she'd snagged from the container and passed it over. A necklace. The tension spiked. Could that bling actually belong to him? Yan Xuan scrutinized the pendant, turning it over in his hand. What is this thing? Even as emperor, he'd never laid eyes on ice, this flawless. How does a kid from the gutter get his hands on a treasure like this? A boy raised in a brothel, growing a rare Silos flower on a windowsill, and stashing a necklace in the soil. It doesn't add up. Maybe the kid was clueless, but if he knew what he had, he would have pawned it ages ago just to survive. It was buried deep, meaning whoever tended the plant did the hiding. Maybe someone entrusted it to his mom. Intel is scarce, and with 0 witnesses, it's a dead end. Jan stood up, checking his rival. You take a hit, Sir Borek snapped back. Did I? Truth is they're dead, even in raw power. Jan smirked. Yeah, time to move. He needs to grill Borak about the jewelry later, since that guy is a walking encyclopedia on desert warriors obsessed with snagging the title of World's Strongest. He's got a long road ahead though. Luckily the master plan is tracking perfectly. Time to focus on phase 2. Suddenly chaos erupted outside. A servant crashed into Durga's office screaming about a disaster. Durga roared, Silence, I told you not to disturb me while I grind. What could possibly be this urgent? The servant trembled. Apologies, sir, but you need to get downstairs. The Imperial Tax Police are here. Durga froze, brain short-circuiting. Say that again. He rushed to the entrance and locked eyes with Captain Erica. She stared right through him. So, you're Count Durga. He hurried down, confirming his identity. She didn't waste time. Dropping the bomb, Emperor's orders. We're investigating embezzlement and high treason. We solemnly swear to keep this fair, she claimed. Durga exploded, face turning purple. This is absolute garbage. I spent years holding the line against those savages, and this is my reward. accusations of theft and treason. He couldn't process the audacity. Erica coolly displayed the warrant again. Recognize this seal, it's yours. The paper was damning allegations that Count Brack was skimming tax revenue, demanding a full imperial audit. Durga stared at the page, absolutely stunned. What is this? Erica stepped forward, scanning the lobby with a critical eye. Nice crib. We're moving in, she declared. Until the investigation closes, you and your staff answer to us. No exceptions. She pointed upward. I'll start at the top. Office is that way, right? Zip it and follow me. Durga's mind raced. These agents just walked in for the first time. Yet they already knew the layout. Someone from the inside snitched. Old Mullen. No, how would he get the seal? A traitor among the guards, the former secretary, is still in a coma. Who else? Then the image of his son's smirk flashed in his mind. The realization hit like a truck. Him. Durga let out a scream of pure, unadulterated rage that shook the entire palace. Later, a desperate message from Count Brack reached Cockantier's camp. The chieftain frowned. He wants our backup. The messenger nodded. Yes. A false charge filed in the emperor's name. They're tearing the estate apart for treason. The count is begging for military support. Cockantier narrowed his eyes. Resist imperial authorities. That's suicide. Where's the proof? That this is a setup. If I back him and he's guilty, we become enemies of the throne. The servant insisted. His innocence is guaranteed. He swore he'd prove it even at the cost of his beloved son's life. Those were His Excellency's exact words. Cockantier looked floored. He couldn't hide his shock. Confusing the servant. Chieftain Cockantier composed himself. Sorry. I get it. We'll discuss strategy later. The servant bowed. Thank you, sir. Now about Jan. Cockantier cut him off cold. Do what you want with him. He's just a peace hostage. But we don't backstab warriors who've broken bread with us. The servant gripped his hilt. The count gave specific orders for this scenario. He drew his blade. Cockantier grinned darkly. Good. A moment later, Jan strolled into the study. You called. Cockantier loomed over him, voice dropping. Yeah, this night is here to end you. Jan smiled, barely blinking. Figured as much. The knight spun around, confused. Why are you warning him? What's the game here? Cockantier shrugged. You wanted to kill Sir Jan. I just gave you the room to try. The knight felt a chill run down his spine. Something was off. This guy accepted the idea of his own death way too chill, like he knew all along that Jan was gonna come. Begging for a lifeline, the act of lash. And what was with the act? Why was he calling him sir? He squinted, trying to decode what kind of game these two were playing. Then it hit him. It didn't matter what they were plotting. He had a job to do. Right here, right now. Steel hissed as he drew his blade, but boom, Barak flashed in front of his master like a human shield. The knight gasped, caught completely off guard, realizing he was in deep trouble. Yan broke it down for him. If you want the king, you gotta get past the pawn. Specifically his bodyguard, Barak. Barak shot him a death glare, barely deflecting the strike with shaking hands. Yan, he just smirked icy calm and said he'd watch this play out. You can grind in the dojo all you want. Nothing beats the raw intensity of a real deathmatch, with actual killer intent. This was the real deal, pure bloodlust and hatred against a boss-level opponent. The knight and Barak squared off on the dirt, ringed by a mob of screaming spectators. The atmosphere was electric. This was the ultimate XP farm for his martial arts skills, Cockantier. And the main character kicked back in their seats, eyes glued to the show. The crowd started roasting Barak. Can he even pull this off? Jan might actually survive today. Barak wasn't having it. He brushed off the hate, calling the peanut gallery a bunch of morons. They yelled right back, shocked that he was actually clapping back at them, screaming that he had totally lost his mind. Meanwhile, the knight was gloating. Barak was about to snap. He couldn't stand the noise. These clueless barbarians were hyping it up like he was some kind of circus gladiator. Suddenly, Barak grinned. Hey, you want a head start? He teased. Just kidding. He was going all out. The knight ground, his teeth fuming. You insolent little brat. Boom sparks flew, wind howled. Barak teleported into the knight's personal space, screaming that this was his signature style. He lunged with insane speed. The knight panicked. Why was this guy coming at him like a rabid dog? Was that a compliment? Barak taunted. They clashed, and the knight's eyes went wide with shock. As he realized, Barak was already inside his guard. Squelch. The knight buried his sword in Barak's gut. Barak hacked up blood and hit the dirt. Whoa, he actually tagged him a bystander, gasped. The mob went wild, screaming, Get up, Barak, move! He struggled to his feet, eyes burning with rage. He spun around and bam, pocket sand right to the eyes. The knight tried to weave, but he froze up. Smack Barak clocked him right in the jaw, yelling, That one hurt, didn't it? The knight was losing his patience. This guy was a pest. Every second counted, and he shouldn't be wasting time on this scrub. Yet the guy just wouldn't quit. Barak let out a war cry, dancing around the battlefield like a phantom. They locked eyes again. The knight's jaw dropped in horror as fresh blood sprayed across the ground. after he drove his sword into Barak's stomach for the second time. "You're good, kid," the knight spat, "but this is game over." Barak looked down, stunned. The crowd started murmuring, calling the knight a dirtbag, saying he should just finish it instead of torturing the guy. It wasn't a duel anymore, it was a twisted circus act. With the steel still through his gut, Barak grabbed the blade with trembling hands, and then lights out. He crumpled to the floor. The knight straightened up, turning his focus to Jan. "I'm out of time. I have to prove the Count's innocence with my death." Jan analyzed him coolly. The knight puffed out his chest, claiming it was an honor to die for the cause. He swung his gore-soaked blade at Jan. But wait, Barak rose from the dead, launching a sneak attack from behind despite the massive blood loss. The knight couldn't process it. He stared at the wounded boy who gripped the sword in his own body and ripped it out, growling that he wasn't done with him yet. The knight shrieked in terror. "Is this a curse?" The guy was unkillable. Barak's rage peaked. A true warrior wakes up every day ready to die. The bloodbath restarted. This was it, the climax. They stood toe-to-toe. And to level up, you gotta push past your limits. Summoning the last shred of his energy, Barak made his move. He leaped into the air and crashed down on the knight, driving his blade deep into the man's gut. He shielded Jan with his life. With the knight skewered, Barak gasped for air. His vision blurred. He was fading fast, and collapsed right next to his kill. I can't take it." The people were blown away by the performance. Suddenly, cheers erupted. "Barak, you absolute legend, so brave. They say it ain't over, till the fat lady sings, and man was that true today." Someone rushed over to help Barak, yelling at the others. "Don't just stand there, help me carry him, where's a medic?" Connor finally got it. He saw exactly why Jan brought him into the fold. The kid wasn't just tough, he was built for the battlefield. Jan flashed a grin. Sure, Barak was rude and totally unhinged, but that audacity, that was pure bravery. No one else had guts like that. Back at the palace, Durga was a nervous wreck, pacing holes in the floor. He spun around and boom, Sue was just standing there. "You look stressed," she smirked. She'd ghosted in through the window like a phantom. She noted she was fresh in from nurserin. "Where's my knight?" Durga demanded. She tossed him a package, told him to take it up with Cockatier, and turned to bail. Durga panicked and screamed after her. "Wait, what did the clan leader say? What is the deal with Yan? Did you kill him?" Sue didn't answer. She just dove out the window. Durga rushed to the ledge, yelling for her to stop, but she was gone. Trembling, he looked down at the package, his gut twisting with fear. He ripped open the documents and his blood ran cold. It was confirmed the Barak family had played them. They broke the oath and sent an illegitimate brat. A peace offering. Yeah, right. They used the kid to smuggle Garut leaves. The deal was dead, terminated immediately. Durga and his wife read the report and lost it. Terror shifted into pure blinding rage. Durga snapped. "Traitors," he roared. "I'll slaughter every last one of them." The knights standing guard outside exchanged nervous glances. Moments later, the room was trashed. Durga stood amidst the wreckage. They wanted a war. Fine. He was done playing nice. He'd been played for a fool. Now it was all or nothing. He didn't need their help anyway. He could handle this solo. He would cut ties with the state entirely. He grabbed a rope and lowered it out the window. "Take the boy," he ordered his wife. "Hide in the storage room. Do not move until I give the signal." "But what will happen to you?" she cried, clutching Zell. "You have to come with us." Zell nodded, terrified. Durga cut them off. "Do as I say, we are out of time." He lowered them down, watching them disappear into the shadows. He turned back. He had to blind the enemy before the capital's army rolled in. He grabbed a lantern and smashed it against the floor. Smash cut to Erica's office. A soldier burst in, gasping for air. "Captain, we have a massive problem." Count Barak torched the mansion and bolted. Erica's face twisted. That idiot was digging his own grave. "Philip, radio the capital's troops," now she barked. "The rest of you on me," Philip shouted confirmation. The knights swarmed the area. Erica's eyes were cold. "Find him. Make sure he doesn't escape. Kill him if you have to." She seethed. That estate was supposed to be her prize, her property, and he dared to burn it to the ground. Furious didn't even cover it. Servants and staff poured out of the burning building, screaming in panic. The flames were consuming everything. People begged for help for salvation. Erica just watched, stone cold. The screams got louder. "Is there no sand left?" Philip looked at her, hesitant. "Ma'am, what should we do?" Erica didn't flinch. "Leave them. They would have died with him anyway. Focus on containing the fire, and put every available man on finding Lord Durga." Philip gulped. "Yes, sir." The manhunt was on. Troops split up rear guard and forward assault. Erica walked away from the inferno. Meanwhile, Durga was tearing through the forest on horseback. Before the lockdown, he'd sent letters to his butler, one for the unearthly warrior clan, one for the first prince. But that last letter, that was complicated. He pulled up in a clearing, desperate. "Theo," he screamed. "Did he make it?" Durga clutched his head, panic setting in. Then, a voice cut through the trees. "My lord." Theo rode in. "Are you hurt? What about the unearthly clan?" Durga grimaced. "They betrayed us. We just need to buy time until the first prince responds." We have to intercept the estate. We beat the capital's army to the punch. We are far enough out, we have a window of opportunity. It is us versus their scouts. Use the terrain, you know these woods better than anyone. You are the elite, trained to take down the unearthly warriors. Show them why. The knights roared in unison. Yes, sir. Theo gripped his reins. If they pulled this off, he was looking at a massive promotion. He was ready. Durga raised his sword high. Forward, we take back our honor. Back at the estate, the fire raged on. Later, Barrack was finally resting his body, a mess of bandages. The nurse checked his vitals. I will get more meds. Jan, keep an eye on him. As she left, Cockentier stopped her. Give it to me straight. When is he back on his feet? She sighed. 3, maybe 4 months. It is bad. Anyone else would be dead. But him, he is a freak of nature, strong as an ox. Cockentier frowned. 3 to 4 months on the bench, that was a disaster. Jan just lost his heavy hitter. Ian wasn't buying that logic. If you've got the will, you've got a shot at victory. After a beat, Ian slapped his hands onto Barrack, trying to force a mana transfer. He ground his teeth in frustration, it just wasn't working. Maybe if I crank up the power output. But before he could finish the thought, the doc and Cockentier busted into the room. The medic rushed over, checking his vitals immediately. You good? Ian waved her off. I'm chill, just a little lightheaded. She ordered him to take a seat for a minute so she could run diagnostics. Suddenly, her eyes widened. She gestured for the others to check Barrack. Look at that. Ian blinked, confused. Are we talking about Barrack? I didn't catch his name, she replied, but this guy doesn't quit. Now I get why you call him stubborn. Still, he wasn't battle-ready yet. Cockentier stepped up, lighting a strange leaf over a candle flame. My bad, the clan leader admitted. If I knew you were running on empty, I would have brought a bigger stash. It was a Garuda leaf high-tier loot the clan warriors used to cheat death. He placed the glowing ember in Ian's mouth. Cockentier announced Ian was the first outsider ever to get this VIP treatment. Ian tasted the leaf, nodding his thanks. He couldn't believe Cockentier was sharing the clan's secret stash so freely. It was honestly kind of wholesome. A while later, Cockentier dropped the update from Sue. Just like the intel suggested, Durga was backed into a corner and rallying his troops. What about the Central Army? Ian pressed. Radio silence on that front. Ian's mind raced. They needed the numbers on the Central Army's solid intel was non-negotiable. That was the only way to read the board and make a countermove. Suddenly, Cockentier grinned. Relax, we've got a buffer of 2 days. Get some sleep. Ian stared at him for a second, then finally crashed. The doctor let out a heavy sigh. She tucked them in. But as night fell, Ian snapped awake, heart pounding. Barrack, he scanned the window. Something felt off. The unearthly clan had been super chill, even giving him the Garuda leaves. So why did he have this massive bad vibe? He grabbed his sword just as the door flew open. A masked intruder stormed in, radiating pure rage. Ian instantly went on the defensive. His sword got knocked away and he gritted his teeth as the guy lunged, choking him out. The attacker snarled, You shouldn't have stuck your neck out, you freak. How dare you plot against me? Do you even know what you've done? You Empire scum are useless. Just like your father. Durga, Ian thought, mind racing. Durga. The man raised a dagger, screaming for blood. That's when Ian popped his ult. A blinding explosion of fire roared through the room, blasting everything back. Outside, the clan panicked. What was that? Where's the noise coming from? It's Master Ian's room. Cockentier froze. Did someone hit Ian and Barrack? His subordinate nodded grimly. Affirmative. They sprinted into the quarters. Report what's happening. Ian was sitting amidst the wreckage. Clutching his throat, Ian gasped. No clue. Dude just tried to delete me. Cockentier barked orders to help Master Ian. Find out who this guy is. Attacking a guest of the unearthly clan, Deathwish Cockentier spun around. He was baffled. How did Ian fight back? What was that nuke of an explosion? One of the guards stood there dumbfounded. He ripped the mask off the unconscious attacker. The guard's jaw dropped. It's Boomart. Cockentier looked like he'd seen a ghost. Throw him in the dungeon, he ordered coldly. I'll handle this interrogation myself. The next morning, Boomart woke up in the dark cell. You finally lucid, a voice echoed. He was chained up, kneeling right in front of Cockentier. Boomart glared. Unchain me. Now. Cockentier didn't blink. Did you attack? Master Ian Boomart stayed silent, locking eyes with the leader. Suddenly, Boomart snapped. I'm not making excuses. If you still see me as family, then stop asking questions. But you need to watch your back around Ian. That kid has terrifying power. His eyes turned gold. Some unknown energy exploded out of him. He's sus. Ian, listening in, realized Boomart was deflecting hard. Even if he was trying to cap Madame Vincennes would sniff out the truth. Was he hiding his real objective? Just trying to stall for time, Ian stepped forward, staring at Cockentier. You got something to say? Cockentier nodded. Ian dropped the bombshell. During the fight, he name-dropped Lord Durga. Boomart froze. Ian kept pushing. He called my proposal a plot. He tried to sabotage the alliance. It's totally possible he's working with them. Then it clicked. The letter. The vote for the clan leader. That letter. You leaked it to Lord Durga, didn't you? Boomart looked absolutely horrified. He's the first advisor, right? But then Boomart switches up, dropping this sickly, sweet, friendly act. It was totally unhinged, like didn't he start this whole mess out of pure spite? Then without warning, Boomart unhinges his jaw, sticks out his tongue and crunch. He bites straight through it. A fountain of red sprays everywhere, and the room erupts into chaos. Everyone's screaming, losing their minds over the gore. Did he seriously just silence himself? Someone shouts to shut him up for good, ordering guards to jam more cloth into his ruined mouth. Ian watches the madness cool as ice, noting that this guy controlled the food supply. The dots connect instantly. Madame Vincian's mysterious illness wasn't bad luck. It was poison. Boomart had been tampering with her meals. The guy literally tried to trade Madame Vincian's life for the chieftain's seat. Cacanthier stands there totally shell-shocked, processing the sheer depth of this betrayal. His eyes locked on nothing as the gears turn. Ian breaks the silence, pointing out that the Durga tribe definitely stood to gain from this chaos. That snaps Cacanthier back to reality. He shoots up, demanding a status update on Madame Vincian. The medics assure him she's stable and resting. Meanwhile, Boomart is making these muffled, horrific shrieks as guards drag him by his hair, stuffing rags down his throat to stem the blood flow. Cacanthier goes full lockdown mode, barking orders that absolutely no one gets near Madame Vincian without his direct say-so. Then, with zero hesitation, he snatches Boomart by the scalp and drags him out of the room like a sack of trash. Cut to a private office later, and the sounds of a brutal beatdown echo through the door. Boomart's muffled screams are agonizing. When Cacanthier finally steps out, he's drenched in crimson, looking like a demon. He walks away, tossing a cold order over his shoulder: dump the carcass in the desert. Let the vultures pick the bones clean. Oh, and summon Boomart's family immediately. The subordinates stare at the mangled pulp that used to be a person, eyes wide with terror, and scramble to obey. As they drag the bloody, lifeless mess across the floor, leaving a red trail, Cacanthier steps up to Ian. He gets straight to the point. That explosion during the ambush was that Ian's work. Ian looks down at his own palms, calm and collected, and admits it. Yeah, that was him. No point hiding the power now. Cacanthier nods slowly. In the Empire, they don't call those miracles. They call people like that mages. Ian lowers his eyes, deciding to play it half-truthful. He's not going to lie to the boss, but the full story, that's for another time. He promises to reveal his true identity eventually. But right now, explaining he's from a different timeline and country would just sound insane. Cacanthier studies him in tense silence, reading the vibe. Before announcing a change in strategy, Ian raises an eyebrow. How exactly does the plan pivot from here? Cacanthier declares he's going to back Ian's play to take over the Barrack estate. They'll fund him until he's solid. But because the Durga tribe decided to play dirty trying to assassinate First Advisor Vincian under a fake peace treaty, all bets are off. They have to retaliate. They need to take the leader's head. Ian nods, getting the picture, but drops a reality check. The tax police won't let that slide. He'd be executed for treason before he even started. However, if he secures the Barrack estate first, he can make it all happen. Cacanthier agrees. Whatever it takes, they're riding with him. Ian smirks, realizing the dynamic just shifted. It sounds less like a command and more like Cacanthier is asking for a favor. Fair enough, if that's the game. They're playing to win. Cacanthier hits him with a new nickname, Demosha. Ian flashes a confident smile. You got it. They seal the deal with a handshake. Cut to later, Ian walks into the recovery room and turns to see Barrack awake. He acts surprised, asking how the big guy is holding up. Barrack is literally retching off the side of the bed, moaning that he's knocking on death's door. Ian deadpans that he noticed, but hey, thank the gods you're even conscious right now. Barrack wipes his mouth, complaining about the nausea. He accuses the medics of spiking the potions with cheap booze. The doctor loses it, screaming back at him. The audacity. This guy should be thankful he's not a corpse. To be talking trash after injuries like that, shameless behavior. Ian looks down, mind racing. Something isn't adding up. Sure, swordsmen have high stats, but this isn't just skill. It's supernatural regeneration. Healing that fast shouldn't be possible for a normal human. He turns to Barrack, probing for info. Hey, you remember your parents, right? Barrack looks confused. Duh, of course I do. They've been dead for years, though. Ian thinks to himself, Barrack's lineage seemed purely human. So where is this monster recovery coming from? Barrack changes the subject, asking when they head back to the county. Ian replies casually, soon. Maybe even tomorrow. Barrack's face lights up, hyped to get back in action. But Ian drops the hammer. I'm telling you this so you know, but you aren't coming with me. The mood snaps. Barrack explodes, jumping out of bed despite the pain. Excuse me, why the hell not? Ian stays calm, pointing at Barrack's trembling body. Look at you, you're a wreck. Barrack denies it instantly. No way, I'll be walking fine by tomorrow. Ian shakes his head. Sorry, bro. We're talking about fighting the Count's infantry, the tax police, and the Imperial Army. In his current state, Barrack would be dead weight. He needs to rest and heal. Ian says they can handle the business without him. Barrack loses his cool completely, shouting emotionally, "No, I'm going." The betrayal hits his eyes. Did Ian just use him as a pawn this whole time? Is he seriously dipping out like this? Talk about a traitor. The guy couldn't even survive basic mana compression without folding. Jan just chuckles at the weakling. Meanwhile, Barak keeps screaming about how Jan promised to teach him mana control. He's playing the victim card hard. How can you abandon a student in need? But Jan is completely over this monologue. Jan hits him with that despairing tone. Is that really how a student talks to his master? Total savage. Calling him out for being a weakling who failed mana compression. Have some conscience. Maybe check your memory. I'm the one who actually knows magic here. Barak freezes, brain glitching. He asks again, totally confused. The protagonist just replies, yes. And right then, Saran busts into the room. John, outside. Now. He's holding a letter from the Baron. Perfect timing. The Durga had ordered soldiers to lock down the estate, and the situation outside is getting tense. Looks like a squad of tax collectors is holding the line waiting for backup. But there's a massive problem. The locals are swarming the bank in the city center. Jan explains the bank is neutral territory. The Gammon Bank is the empire's financial heartbeat. Every region has at least one branch, and they don't play around. If the bank takes even a scratch during a civil war, they cut off funding to everyone involved. Instant financial blackout. That means neither the tax collectors nor the Durga dare to touch the townspeople while they're on bank property. Narsaran asks, so, it's basically a sanctuary. The protagonist nods. Pretty much. But the clock is ticking. Anyone who can't squeeze into the bank is going to be forced to join the Durga just to survive. That means they're moving out for the burial tomorrow. Meanwhile, smoke is billowing from the Barak estate. Voices scream, cut it down, we need a bigger log, light the arrows, they're prepping for a siege. Durga watches from the bushes like a predator. He demands a sitrep. What about Mirilov, the count next door? Why isn't he here helping us? The subordinate stammers, sir, he refused the messenger. He even shut the city gates, Durga screams, that cowardly fool. The subordinate explains, he runs a trading city with a tiny army. Once we clean up this mess, we'll conquer him easily, your excellency. Suddenly snap, a rustling sound makes them whip their heads around. An army is marching in flags, flying high. They're closing in. Durga's eyes go wide, and he lets out a terrified scream. The approaching soldiers are yelling orders. Block the bridge. Move. Cut off the path. They need to seal it tight. Meanwhile, on Portland Street, it's chaos at the Gammon Bank. Let us in. The crowd roars. Open the doors. Stop blocking us. A woman screams, I work here, let me through, but the guard shoves her back. You're just a civilian now. Beat it. People are shrieking for help because the Imperial Army isn't arresting people, they're burning them alive. Cut to Hannah. She's huddled in a locked room clutching her trembling brother. Look, she whispers, pointing to the window. See that big bird? She realizes the bird reminds her of Jan. Speaking of the devil, the protagonist and Kakantir just rolled into the city. It's a nightmare. People are in full-blown panic mode, and kids are sitting in the dirt sobbing their eyes out. Kakantir scans the scene. This is bad. Way worse than I imagined. Jan asks, really? I expected exactly this. Suddenly a boy starts screaming barbarians. They breached the city. Why now? We have to run. The crowd thinks Jan's crew are bloodthirsty savages coming to finish them off. They're attacking while we're down. A girl running past hisses. Shh, don't talk like that, they'll hear you. One of Jan's subordinates turns to Kakantir, clearly irritated. I'm getting real tired of being called a barbarian. Kakantir snaps Mugarun focus. Don't get distracted. Kids are tripping over themselves, terrified by the sight of the army. Screams of panic fill the air as they scatter. Kakantir spots something. Child on the road, watch out. Drive carefully, don't hit him. The vehicle stops. The kid's jaw drops in shock. Jan steps down and walks right up to him. He offers a hand. Get up. The ground is freezing. The boy stares, then grabs his hand. Suddenly the dad rushes in. Are you hurt? He grabs his son, then freezes when he sees Mr. Jan. Wait, is that really you? Jan tilts his head. Do I know you? The man gasps. I'm Jason, the groom I used to work at the Count's estate. Recognition hits Jan. He hasn't seen him in ages. Glad you're still breathing. Jason looks desperate. Sir, what is happening here? A heavy, awkward silence hangs in the air. The crowd watches intently. Someone whispers to Jason, you know him. Jason nods, voice trembling. That's Mr. Jan. Another local screams out, yo Ian, aren't you that kid the Count sold off to the clan of unearthly warriors? What was that? He mutters back, claiming he heard the unearthly clan of warriors actually came to save their skins. Cut to the city's main headquarters. Barrack is draped over a horse like a sack of potatoes, looking absolutely deathly. Erica raises an eyebrow asking why on earth they dragged a walking corpse to a meeting. Ian shrugs. What was I supposed to do? Leaving him behind was a death sentence. Suddenly, a defender steps up, blade drawn, mean mugging them. Who are you punks, barbarians? How'd you even get in here? Kakanthir flashes his steel instantly. Tension spikes until our main character steps in. Chill. I'm Count Brock's son. Name's Ian. And this absolute unit, a legend from the clan of unearthly warriors. We come in peace. Erica decides to hear them out, exchanging a heavy look with her squad. Ian doesn't waste time, he demands to speak to the boss immediately. Moments later, inside the war room, Erica cuts through the silence. So, Ian Brock right. Though the adoption papers never cleared, so let's stick to Ian. She drops the formalities. Sir Mullen filled her in. She's Erica, captain of the tax police. Ian connects the dots. So, you report to Mullen. Technically, she shoots back. Ian presses. What's the situation? She gestures around. Take a look. It's a mess, but we're handling it. Embezzlement is confirmed. Now we just gotta grind through the paperwork. Before we crush the Count's knights. She leans in suspicious. Why are you crashing this party? Heard you have beef with Count Darga. Here to watch his head roll, Ian flashes a calculated smile. This estate is my home. Naturally, I got worried when I heard the news. The clan agreed, so they're my escort. Erica actually laughs in his face. Are you kidding me? Everyone knows Brock and the unearthly warriors are sworn enemies. You're living proof. You're a bastard child sold off to desert savages. Ian keeps smiling unbothered, but Erica's smile fades. Something's off. She freezes as Ian maintains that eerie calm. He bows, mocking her. I get it. To an outsider, family drama looks complicated. Then he drops the bomb. But tell me, is it true the tax police only hire peasants these days? Erica is floored. The audacity. She starts screaming. Excuse me, what did you just say? Kakanthir stands up, towering over the room. Listen up, girl. I rule the great desert. Watch your tone. If Darga is guilty, execute him and leave. We're here to take over the estate management, and you're standing in our way. Erica slams the table. Bam, you lost your mind. She glares at the giant. Who do you think you are, you barbarian trash? I represent the Empire. You're insulting the crown. Kakanthir looks down at her like she's a bug. I told you to zip it, woman. She scowls furious, but he doubles down. You're only breathing because I'm feeling generous. Don't push your luck. She clenches her fist, pivoting to Ian. You want to die alongside your daddy. Everyone knows you're Darga's spawn. No one will care if you accidentally die. Don't get cocky. Know your place, bastard. Ian locks eyes with her. Oh, I know exactly where I stand. Like you said, I'm Darga's son, but not fully a Brock. I'm also the only Imperial citizen with the unearthly warrior's loyalty. You're just a glorified accountant. Your job is to nail Darga and enforce the sentence. Governing this place after he's gone, not your pay grade, is doing your actual job. Too hard for you, she screeches. You arrogant little brat, suddenly Kakanthir whips out a scroll and throws it on the table. Read it. It's the peace pact. Peace with County Brock. It's our top priority. Erica unravels it, smirking. The nerve. Kakanthir cuts in. The pact says we help Count Brock in emergencies, but since he's a criminal, that deal is void. Now we support him. He points at Ian. He's our liaison, and the clan wants him running this territory. Erica stares blindsided. Ian asks thoughts. She laughs, nervously, disbelief written all over her face. You want a bastard on the throne? Ian just grins. She let out a dry, humorless laugh, scanning the documents like they were a bad joke. Absolute insanity, she muttered, jaw tight enough to snap. The kicker. The kid's only crime was sharing DNA with the Count. Guilt by association classic. The locals were ready to burn everything down, but Ian, as Brock's direct heir, he was the only one who could put out the fire. Plus, he was tight with the barbarians, which guaranteed peace on the border. She reminded him cold. Titles come from the Emperor, not thin air. That was way above her pay grade. Ian nodded, cool as ice. I know. Until the big man on the throne names a count. Nobody really runs these lands. She glared at him. Technically true, but in a power vacuum, the sharks start circling. She snapped the scroll shut and squeezed her eyes tight. Fine. I see the play you're making. But here's the snag. Durga, his wife and their kid Zell, gone in the wind. She'd totally botched the capture. Her orders were clear. Crush the resistance and remind everyone who owns this dirt, the Empire. Ian stood up, looming over the desk with a dark look. Relax. I'll bag Durga for you. We clean up your mess, you pack up and leave. Simple. Your tax collectors and soldiers turned the people into a mob. Let us handle the crowd control. Then it's done. She ground her teeth, eyes locking onto his. Don't even think about playing me. If you're planning to run back to Daddy. Ian cut her off mid-sentence. You clearly don't know my father. Don't worry. I'll drag that traitor back by his neck myself. Just watch. Promise kept. With that, she stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. Out in the hall, her nails dug into her palms. She was fuming. She just needed to stall until the Imperial edict arrived. Once she had that piece of paper granting her total control, it was guillotine time for both of them. Deputy, get the carrier pigeons airborne now. Meanwhile, Theo skidded to a halt, spinning around. This way, Your Excellency. Durga was panting, sweat dripping. How much farther? Theo was grim. City's locked down. We have to hit the Havon border. Theo scowled, realizing just how deep in the mud they really were. Clutching a heavy sack of gold, he schemed, lie low, survive, then reclaim the county. Screech, a falcon dived, and a soldier dropped bleeding. Theo shielded Durga instantly. Down. Ambush protect the count. Suddenly shadows moved on the cliffs. The unearthly warriors had arrived. Kantir stepped out, grinning like a predator. Long time no see, Durga. Look at you, pathetic. Theo screamed. Unearthly warriors, hold the line. Do not let them touch the count. Too slow. A warrior launched off the rock blade, hungry for blood. Clang Theo blocked it just in time. Nearby, Barrack clutched his gut. Oh damn it. He smirked through the pain. Remember me, I used to mop the floor with you in training. Theo blinked. What the? Ian strolled up casual amidst the chaos. You good, Barrack peachy boss? Don't need a babysitter, master. Ian's grin widened as he turned to his dad. Hello, father. Durga looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Crack Barrack smashed through Theo's shield like it was glass and lunged. Ian slammed his father into the dirt. Delivery for Erica. She walked up silent as a grave. Well, it really is Durga. Ian gestured behind him, stacked the soldiers. And Captain Theo out back. Believe me now, Erica crossed her arms, unimpressed. Guess you're not total trash. Ian shrugged. Here's the traitor. Judge him, execute him, and get out. Erica shook her head. You wish. Job's not done. Every Brock has to die. Still haven't found the Countess or the brat Zell. Ian raised a brow. Think they crossed the border. Impossible. Border Patrol says not a single woman has passed through since the sighting. Since you're free, start tossing the villages. We need to set up camp somewhere. She brushed past him. ID the corpses. We need to find the runaways first. Dead or alive, I don't care. If you spot them, you know the drill. Yes, ma'am. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Hide the prisoners. No one sees them until I get that edict. Later, Nurse Saren leaned in concerned. Sir Ian, sounds like Erica is just stalling for that execution order. He crossed his arms, staring down the main character. A smirk tugged at his lips as he dropped a truth bomb. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Installing her as the intel chief, that was already a done deal. Kakantir gripped the sofa armrest, tension radiating off him, and warned, give it a minute. She'll be running this whole territory before you know it. That scenario, a total wash for the clan's investment. His brow furrowed as he pressed. You do have a game plan cooked up. Right, Sir Ian. The MC realized Kakantir was spot on. The clock was definitely ticking. But flip the script, if they bought themselves enough time, they actually stood a fighting chance. That carrier pigeon needs at least 15 days to fly. The odds were tilting in their favor. Kakantir crossed his arms again, dipping his head low, and challenged. In our favor, the Countess and the heir ghosted us, and everyone else is trapped in the estate. The MC fired back. She admitted her mission isn't over. She's hell-bent on wiping out the Brouch bloodline. She still hasn't located the Countess or Zell Brouch. Her words, not mine. That explained why the enemy was camping out here. They were convinced the VIPs were close by. But the second they caught wind of the escape, they'd launch a full-scale manhunt. If we shield the Countess and her kid, the MC added, we can use them as live bait. The realization hit Kakantir instantly. I see where you're going with this. All right, bet. I'll sit back and watch the show. The MC nodded his thanks. Then Kakantir asked, what's your next move, Sir Ian? Ian pushed himself off the sofa. Got a couple of loose ends to tie up, so I'm bouncing. Barrack's waiting outside, gonna link up with him. Lord Kakantir, just chill with the warriors for now. They have to be inside the mansion, he thought. Like the old saying goes, the safest hiding spot is right under the enemy's nose. Snag is every servant who knew anything is pushing up daisies. In a mess like this, you gotta get your hands dirty. Cut to outside, the MC stood by his horse. When a voice shouted his name, he snapped his head around, spotting Barrack. Ah, speak of the devil. Mission accomplished, Barrack reported. Swept the forest totally clear. He stepped closer, letting out a heavy sigh, and added, my mom's doing great, by the way. Looks healthy, actually vibes with the solitude. The MC hissed, cutting him off. Keep it down. Barrack shrugged. Relax, nobody heard squat. Then he looked around. Why are we here anyway? This place is straight up slums. The MC strode forward, glancing back over his shoulder. We're hunting for Hannah. You lead the way. Barrack scratched his cheek, confused. Hannah, okay, but why me? The MC raised an eyebrow. You want me to play guide? A montage followed them, scouring the streets, grilling the locals. Finally, the MC ducked into a room and pulled back his hood. Right on cue. There was Hannah rocking a baby. Oh my god, why are you crying again? The MC called out her name. She whipped around. Eyes widening, she sprinted toward them. Young Master Barrack. The MC smiled, saying, he was just relieved she was in one piece. I should be saying that, she cried out. You came back. You actually came back for me. Is it even safe for you here? You're Lord Durga's son. She'd always assumed. His link to the clan of unearthly warriors was just gossip. I'm good, he reassured her. But I need to ask you something. Hear any weird stories floating around here? Stories about a secret passage, he clarified. She paused, racking her brain. No, nothing. Definitely not about secret tunnels. The MC frowned. Well, that blows. If only the butler was still breathing. Hannah's eyes went wide with fear. The butler. He's dead. Yeah, he replied. Must have crossed the border during the escape. They recovered his body and shipped it back to Brauk territory. Something wrong? Hannah averted, her gaze shifting awkwardly. I just feel kinda guilty. What secretly swiped it belongs to him. You know, it clicked instantly for Barrick and the MC. She definitely stole something. The MC leaned in. If an item went missing, you'd be the prime suspect since you just quit. What's the deal? I just borrowed it, she insisted. Besides, everyone was quitting. The Countess turned into a nightmare, beating him like every single day. Lady Mary the MC was stunned. Why I wasn't serving the mistress directly. She explained, so I don't know the full tea. Maybe stress, but she had these weird spots all over her body. She pulled out a box, offering it to him. I figured if I bounced with the crowd, no one would clock me. So I grabbed this. She popped the lid, nothing inside but letters and drawings. Guilt hit her like a truck. She felt like she was hijacking someone's soul. Can we just torch this trash along with the body? Right then, Barrick snatches the box. Ian warns him to chill, but Barrick's already prying at the lid like, why not? Ian shoots back, because if that spills, there is no fixing it. Game over. Crash. Papers and scrolls explode everywhere. Barrick yelps like a kicked puppy, drops to the floor, and starts panic cleaning. He reaches for Ian, mumbling an apology, but then freezes. He unrolls a scroll. Hold up. The blueprint looks sus. Hannah clocks his expression immediately. What's the tea? Barrick frowns. Garden's empty. That is weird. Ian shrugs. Standard procedure. Architects skip the landscaping because it changes too much. Too much hassle to sketch every shrub. Barrick raises an eyebrow, skepticism written all over his face. For real. He taps a specific spot on the paper. Then explain this tree. Ian blinks. Okay, now you have got my attention. Meanwhile, down in the dark basement, Zell is curled up in a ball, looking at his mom with hollow eyes. I am starving. She snaps, panic edging her voice. Eat the jerky, Zell whines. Dried meat again. How long are we gonna live like rats? She stares at the ring on her finger, trying to steady her hands. Just hang tight. We are leaving soon. She hopes. But deep down, she knows they are hunted. Going home means instant capture. Hiding here is the only play. Just gotta wait for an opening to run. Suddenly, bam, she flinches, whipping out a blade in pure reflex. Whoosh. The candle dies. Pitch black. She's trembling in the dark. Durga, is he here? Move, she thinks. Then a voice cuts through the gloom. Mom, Zell found you. It is Ian. He steps into the light lantern swinging. Sue is right behind him with a torch, grinning like she is on a field trip. Whoa. A whole secret tunnel. Rumors were true. Nobles really are pros at running away. Mary does not get it. She lunges with her knife, screaming Ian's name. Sue does not flinch. She twists Mary's arm and slams her against the bricks. Ouch. Unhand me, Mary shrieks. The audacity, you savage brute scumbag. Ian stares cold. Rumors said she was losing it, but this is next level unhinged. He signals Sue to release her. Mary immediately fixes her hair, demanding, bring me Lord Cockentier. Sue steps back. Copy that, boss. Mary's eyes go wild. He has to die. Everything is his fault. He ruined us. Ian rubs his temples. Instant migraine. Mom, zip it. Scouts are crawling all over the estate. One sound and we are busted. Zell tugs Ian's sleeve. Ian, are we safe? Where is Dad? Ian looks at the kid. He is in bad shape. Dad is gone. Captured. We cannot fix that. He turns to Mary. Pack up. We move at first light. Sun comes up. We vanish. He steps into Mary's space. Your only play is to run to your family. Where are they? Hold up. Mary sniffs, clinging to dignity. Fontrol. Ian runs the map in his head. North. 2 weeks travel, assuming we flank Marilov. Mary balks. Why go around? We stop in the city. I need fresh clothes and real food. Not happening, Ian says flatly. Marilov is on lockdown. They murdered the butler and sealed the gates. Mary gasps. Impossible. She shakes her head, refusing reality. She grabs Ian's shoulders, shaking him. Ian, we have to go back to the estate first. Then Marilov. Ian looks at her like she grew a second head. Are you out of your mind? If Durga is alive, we just wait for the palace's decree. They would not dare evict us. I will call in favors, get loans. Ian slaps her hand away hard. Mom, silence. Or I will knock you out myself. He storms off, glancing back with disgust. Does she seriously not get it? We are actively being hunted, and she is talking politics. Outside, under a weeping willow, Cockentier waits. He extends a hand. They are inside, correct. A subordinate takes his hand. Yes, my lord. Moving at sundown. Cockentier nods. Good. Shulnaru, you are up. The twins nod. Understood. Cockentier leans in with final orders. Take them somewhere quiet. Bury them so deep, hell will not find them. The assassin nods. They mount up and ride. Cockentier scowls. Damn capital troops. Let them chase their tails in the outskirts. Bang, the door flies open. A scout crashes in breathless. Captain, we found the madam, and the boy. Erica whips around. Talk to me. Where the scout slams a map on the table. North gate. Slipped past the guards. 4 targets. He pauses. But once they cleared the gate, they split into 2 groups. Erica studies the map, eyes narrowing. North Marilov is on lockdown. That is a dead end. The Count's wife came from Fontrol, didn't she? Confirming the intel, she slammed her hands onto the map, barking orders to wire a telegram there immediately. He asked for the head count. She paused, eyes narrowing. She needed to play. This smart strategy was everything. Too few could be a trap. Too many. Those scoundrels would seize the estate the second her back was turned. Give me 20, she commanded. Top tier. Priority is bringing them in breathing. But if that's not an option, bring me their heads. Detached, she smirked. This was a golden ticket. Capture the Countess, grab Zell. And nobody could stop her from taking the lady's title. Crushing Ian and his savage crew would be a breeze after that. But reality hit hard. Her squad got decimated. Her eyes went wide. Every single fighter deleted. Her subordinate stumbled in gripping a mangled arm. He dropped to one knee, head hanging low. I'm the only survivor, ma'am. They liquidated the captain in seconds. It wasn't a fight. It was a massacre. They called themselves the Durgan Knights. Absolute monsters on the battlefield. Erica massaged her temples, letting out a frustrated groan. Does your brain still work? Did you see the mistress and Zell? Yes. Positive. The targets were there. Fine, she snapped. We assemble a second squad. Go. He scrambled out with a yes, sir. Erica ground her teeth, slamming her fist on the table hard enough to crack it. Damn it, why is the capital ghosting us? Her lackey flinched, squeezing his eyes shut against the outburst. Maybe they took the scenic route, he stammered. Emperor's seal, golden carriage, high-status male, moves slow. Does the enemy care about status? She hissed. What about Ian and his barbarians? Quiet on that front, ma'am. Just village repairs. The locals are eating out of Ian's hand. They're distracted by the chase, she mused. Ian's side has the advantage. Wait, the math wasn't mathing. No sightings of the lady and Zell for days. And now they suddenly vanish on horseback. Was it that idiot? She screamed, veins popping. Get the stable master in here now. On it, Erica stood up, pacing like a caged tiger. She knew the clock was ticking, but how did she drop the ball this hard? She needed a full inventory of the horses. A knock broke her focus. Enter. But it wasn't a servant. Ian peeked around the doorframe. Ian. He strolled in, wearing that infuriating smile. Miss Erica, how goes the great manhunt? She glared. Why do you care? Just curious. If those 2 survive, my safety is compromised. But hey, the people who escaped with them. You sure they were Brock Knights? Maybe you've got leaks in your own operation. What kind of garbage are you spewing? Think about it. Traitors hide the targets, sabotage your wheels. Looks pretty dire from where I'm standing. Right, tax police have orders to wipe the Brock bloodline. Mom and son package deal. But if they vanish into thin air, mission failed. Even if they turn up dead later, without a body and a report, you don't get the credit. Incomplete assignment. Erica crushed the paper in her fist, hissing like a viper. You dirty Count's bastard. How did you find them? Ian looked shocked, feigning innocence. Excuse me, what are you implying? Don't play dumb. She got in his face, weapon drawn. Those knights are from a supernatural warrior clan. How dare you team up with savages against the Empire? Me? Ian scoffed. Bold accusation. If you're so sure, go count my army. See if any warriors are missing. She screamed, frustration boiling over. He gently lowered her weapon hand. What scared to look? Guess the tax police work ethic is lacking these days. She was about to explode when bam, her subordinate rushed in. Lady Erica Stablemaster confirms 2 horses are missing from the barns. The protagonist shot a glance at the lackey. See stolen. Betrayal from the inside. Better catch him fast. Erica let out a primal scream of pure rage. She stepped up, eyes burning. I'm going to end you. Personally. You understand. With my own hands. Ian just smiled. Why so serious? You're scaring me. The door slammed as Erica stormed into the hallway. Assemble the squad. Skeleton crew stays here. Everyone else chases them down. Her subordinate blinked. But ma'am, is that safe? Did I stutter? The knights escorting them are likely supernatural elites. We need overwhelming force. The brat won't talk, but we'll catch these knights and expose the plot. Put eyes on the barbarian leader. If he breathes wrong, report it immediately. The subordinate nodded. Yes. Fall in everyone, he roared, shattering the silence. Moments later, Narciran dropped the bomb. The tax enforcers had officially made their move. Right on cue, the falcon swooped down, latching onto his glove. He glanced sharply at his brother. We need to dispatch this bird to Zeno as soon as possible. It's the only way to handle Maria and Zell. Cacantier shrugged, cool as ice. Doesn't matter to me. Just make sure the bird gets a treat. Zeno hasn't been vibing lately. Narciran secured the scroll to the falcon's leg, his expression grim. They're likely deep in the mountains by now, he muttered. Hard to say how they're holding up out there. Then again, they were born for the desert heat. Kakantir crunched into a piece of fruit, raising an eyebrow. What, you don't trust the squad? Of course I do, he shot back. But Durga has to face the executioner. Order must be restored. Once the Imperial army rolls out, we can't leave the base undefended. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the bird soaring out the window. His brother nodded in silent agreement. Turning back, he dropped the reality check. If Ian heads to the capital, this entire territory is left without a boss. Who calls the shots then? The answer was a heavy silence. Barrack rides with his master, that's a given. And even if Ian left Barrack in charge, let's be real, he's not built for leadership. Kakantir studied him, a knowing look in his eyes. Narsiran caught the vibe instantly. No. What you're hinting, I should stay behind and run things. Oh, is that right? Is that how you took it? Narsiran closed his eyes, sighing. Look logically, sure. It helps the family if I stay, but Ian might not sign off on that. And more importantly, I'm not staying here. It's freezing. Kakantir smirked. Ah, valid point. You always did hate the cold. Narsiran gazed out the window, voice dropping. Let's hope that appointment letter lands, before winter truly hits. Feels like the end is stalling. Kakantir nodded, then narrowed his eyes. I wonder what kind of games the Emperor's court is playing. Cut to the capital, Burial. Inside the lavish palace of First Prince Margrave, Varoshian slid off his glasses, signaling permission. Enter. His aide stepped into the room, looking flustered. Forgive the intrusion. Prince Margrave. He bowed low. What brings you here at this ungodly hour? The aide presented a silver tray, bearing a letter and a heavy ring. A secret missive from Count Brock, sir. No official seal, but he sent a family heirloom as proof of identity. Margrave scanned the letter, his face unreadable, until a faint smile curled his lips. You should see this. Tell me what reads as truth and what reeks of lies. The subordinate picked up the paper, scanning the text. The fabrication is woven so tightly with the truth it's hard to separate them. The prince leaned back. Count says Sir Molin and the second prince want him in their noble alliance. That part checks out. That alliance is real, and Molin is Gale's puppet. But Brock claims he refused out of loyalty to me. His Highness the First Prince. Then claims Molin and Ian framed him for embezzling the treasury. That's the lie. They barely know me. He wouldn't reject a power player like Gale just for respect. The aide handed the letter back. I agree, Prince. But the refusal itself, that feels genuine. Exactly, Margrave mused. He didn't turn down the second prince out of loyalty. He ghosted them because he was terrified they'd uncover his dirty laundry. He knew the skeletons in his closet would come out, but someone snitched and the investigation started. Who's the tax agent? Body Erica, sir. And she's tied to Molin. Tell me, are the rumors of Prince Gale's rebellion actual threats, or just noise? Your Highness, who knows? Margrave held the letter over a candle flame, watching it turn to ash. First, bring me every scrap of intel on Brock, specifically Molin's reports. And tomorrow morning, tell the council I'll be attending. He stared at the flames. Let's hope Gale doesn't do anything stupid. The next day, the meeting is in session, the official announced. First item. A wave of murmurs swept through the room. Why was Prince Margrave here? He usually skipped these. The air in the room grew heavy, suffused with an uneasy tension. He hadn't even warned his own people. Panic set in should they summon Prince Gale. Finally, the official spoke up. Final topic, Count Brock's embezzlement of tax funds. The Count locked down his estate to block the investigation, actively resisting the tax police. This escalated to a clash with the police and eventually the Imperial Army. In the end, law enforcement came out on top. The Count was taken alive. However, his wife and son are currently fugitives. Bang, a noble slammed his fist onto the mahogany table, face red with rage. Unacceptable. Not only did he steal from the crown, but he dared to fight back. We need to make an example of him. Maximum punishment, another shouted. Send this to the Imperial Court immediately. Then Mayor cuts through the tension, raising a hand. One question. Are we only swinging the axe for the Count, the Countess, and the Golden Child? He'd done his homework. He knew about the skeleton in the closet, the bastard son Ian. The official scoffed, dismissing the guy as totally unworthy of the family name. Ian wasn't worth executing. He was merchandise destined for the slave markets. Besides, the Count had already tossed him to the wolves, traded him as a hostage to the barbarians to buy peace. Ian was effectively off the map. Does Prince Margrave have a better idea? The official challenged. Margrave flashed a cryptic smile. Nah, just curious. But inside, his mind was racing, wondering if the bastard and Mullen were playing 4D chess behind the scenes. Did they report the Durga? Was this Ian actually Team Gale? If that's the case, we've got a massive headache brewing. Mayor pivoted. So once the Brocks are history, who gets the keys to the county? Someone floated the idea of sending a suit from the Imperial Court. But if a neighbor conquered the territory, they'd get way too buff. Can't have that. It'd make squeezing tax money out of the region a total nightmare. Mayor shook his head, feigning concern. Bad move. The tax police already turned the locals against us, he argued. Parachuting a capital official in now. The people will riot. Production will tank. It's a PR disaster waiting to happen. And what about the Brock County weirdos, the clan of monster warriors? Who here even speaks their language? The room went silent, everyone exchanging awkward glances. That's when Wesley, the Minister of Magic, chimed in. Well, he smirked, locking eyes with Mayor. Maybe His Highness has a master plan. Mayor kept his cool, addressing the room. Gentlemen, I say we leave the seat empty. Don't appoint a new owner just yet. Wesley pushed back immediately. Leaving the lands wild, that's chaos. 100 times worse. We need a temporary manager, he countered. Someone to test drive the position. See if the locals don't try to kill him. If he survives the vibe check, then we make him lord. Wesley continued. The captain of the tax police is already on the ground with authority. Your Highness, she hasn't finished the job yet. So, but before he could finish his sentence, Mayor cut him off cold. The captain he slammed a stack of files onto the table with a thud. To the public, she's a butcher, a murderer. Plus, she had one job, execute 3 targets, and she whiffed on 2 of them. This order came straight from the Emperor. We need speed and precision. This is about the Empire's reputation, not charity. The tension in the room spiked. The presiding official tried to diffuse the heat. Both sides make points. Anyone else want to weigh in? The debate raged on. Finally, the gavel banged down. Enough. The arguments have been heard. We're making the call. The fate of the Brock governorship was sealed. Meanwhile, back in the chaotic streets of Brock County, locals watched the dust settle. The Imperial Army is bouncing, probably hunting down Countess Mary and young Zell. The escape rumors were confirmed. A neighbor scoffed, leaning in. Are you nuts? They're traitors. Keep your mouth shut or you'll join them. Suddenly, a woman screamed out. Good riddance, I hope they rot. Another man spat on the ground. Get out and stay out, you monsters. It's their fault, my dad's dead. Heck yes. The Emperor's troops are leaving. Mom, look, they're gone. Up on the balcony, Erica watched the scene with pure disgust. Look at the plebs celebrating, she thought. I just hope my squad doesn't come back empty-handed. She turned to leave, but a wall of muscle blocked her path, one of the barbarian warriors. Excuse me, she snapped. The warrior didn't flinch. This estate belongs to us now. The Emperor left us here. We run this show. You want to stay? Pitch a tent in the garden. Erica exploded. The audacity. A savage giving orders. Do you know who I am? He shrugged. Take it up with the boss. Oh, you bet I will, she shrieked. Take me to him. Now, moments later, she kicked open the door to the main hall. Is this a joke? You think you're commandeering this mansion? Dream on go. Sleep in your dirt tents. Cockinteer stared at her unbothered and stated flatly, if you want to live inside, you need to reduce your head count. She paused, confused. Excuse me. He leaned forward, eyes dark. I can offer you quarters. There's a broom closet down the hall. But if you can't handle downsizing your crew, I can help. My blade is getting thirsty anyway. Erica froze, terror washing over her. She clenched her fists, muttering damn savages. Her mind raced to the official appointment letter. Once she had that paper in hand, she'd kick these freaks to the curb. Suddenly, a subordinate burst into the room, beaming. Captain, it's here. She spun around. What is it? The letter from the capital. Erica's face twisted into a cruel grin. Finally, tell those idiots to start measuring their coffins. Her subordinate's voice cut through the air. Congratulations, Captain. The capital finally wrote back. Erica stood up instantly. I'm heading down. Save your steps, Captain, he interrupted, holding out a silver tray. Deep mail delivery. Straight to your hands. The room went dead silent. The crew stared. Erica froze, her face draining of color as she looked at the envelope. Her subordinate's confidence wavered. Captain, did I mess up? The silence stretched until Cockinteer broke it. Official documents don't just pop out of deep mail, he mused, eyes narrowing. That channel is usually reserved for emergencies. The protagonist nodded grimly. Exactly. Which means the Emperor has bypassed protocol. He's installed temporary stewards to lock down the holdings and fix the damage immediately. He scanned the parchment. 4 names made the list. Ramondro, Molin, Mac, and Degore. He paused on the first name. Mr. Ramondro has special orders execute the entire Brock bloodline, and the position of County Lord. Erica's eyes scanned the bottom lines. Postponed until stabilization. The paper shook in her grip. Pure rage took over. Before she could shred the document, Cockinteer swiped it from her hands. Hey, she snapped, eyes blazing. Hand that back, she demanded. Cockinteer ignored her, tossing the parchment to the protagonist. Imperial Council seal, he noted. Read it. The protagonist caught it, scanning the heavy script, his expression unreadable. Finally he spoke. They're stalling on naming a ruler, installing interim governors instead. Cockinteer flopped onto the velvet sofa, crossing his legs with lazy grace. Interim governors, huh, he smirked. And what's their play? The protagonist didn't look up from the letter. Total oversight, he replied. They rebuild, they establish authority, and they report every single breath the clan takes back to the capital. He glanced up at Erica. Basically, these temps outrank you now. You're secondary. Erica's mind raced. Postponed. That's code for denied. They were stripping her of the right to execute Durga. She wasn't the hunter anymore. She was just trailing the traitor's family like a leashed dog. While everyone else played politics, her shot at ruling these lands had evaporated. How did I lose this? Suddenly, a shadow fell over her. The protagonist leaned in. Got a minute. A sly smile played on his lips. I can't fix the whole mess, but I can make sure you still get to take Durga's head. Erika blinked, stunned. Excuse me. Simple, he whispered. We pretend we never got this letter. Deep mail glitch. Ramondro is still 2 weeks out. We execute Durga before his boots hit the ground. I'll make sure Ramondro never sees him alive. One condition, he added. The clan handles the actual kill. Dead is dead, right? Erika turned her back, silence hanging heavy. I'll consider it, she said, walking out. But her internal monologue was already screaming, I have 0 other options. Later, Kakantir found her lurking in the hallway. What's the play here? Erika stammered, clutching something behind her back, a limp dead bird. Is this another messenger? Kakantir rolled his eyes. Can't go 24 hours without some weird drama, can you? It was pecking the glass, she snapped defensive. Before they could bicker, the protagonist stepped in, deft fingers untying a scroll from the bird's leg. It's from Molin, he read aloud. Erika, situation critical, unforeseen variables. Durga got a message out to the first prince. Now the prince who never gave a damn before stormed the council and nuked our governor appointment plans. He's writing for the county now to speed up the process. Don't panic. The protagonist lowered the note. I knew it. Things were going way too easy. Kakantir frowned. A power struggle. And how the hell did Durga get a message out from a dungeon? The protagonist touched the letter's edge to a candle flame. Doesn't matter how. He failed to save himself. He watched the paper curl into ash. The first prince kicked the hornet's nest, but honestly, this chaos works for us. I need to intercept Ramondro. Make a solid first impression. The first prince assumes I'm in bed with Molin, but I can't let the world tag me as the second prince's puppet. Kakantir raised a brow. So, we're going rogue on Molin. I need to draw a line in the sand, the protagonist said. Fighting both sides is suicide. Do I side with the first prince? He met Kakantir's gaze. He's sharp, and technically he owns the throne. Plus, these new advisors control the exit strategy. Their report decides when we get to go home safely. Kakantir pointed a finger. Bingo. That's the conversation I wanted to have. Once Durga is headless, our contract is done. I want the brothers shipped out before the leaves turn. The protagonist nodded. Agreed. Kakantir leaned in close. Whether you end up a lord or a corpse depends on how well you play this game, kid. I know the stakes, the protagonist assured him. Don't worry. Days bled into a week until a falcon screeched in the dawn light. The message was, blood red, Mary and Zell were dead. The time for talking was over. The protagonist descended into the gloom of his father's dungeon. Wake up, he whispered, leaning into the darkness. Today is the day you die, and we're on the clock. Still, he'd pulled off one clutch move, leaking intel to the palace. He was the whistleblower who tipped off the first prince of Margrave, and honestly, thank God for that. Erika was still operating without official tenure, and because he'd been forced to flee Brock in a total panic, his date with the executioner had to be pushed back. Mary and Zell were already in the ground, making him the absolute last of the Brock bloodline. To drive the point home, he planted his boot right on the guy's skull and taunted him. Don't look so depressed. This was the man who'd exploited a vulnerable girl just because she birthed a so-called bastard, ripped a family apart, tried to scam an elite warrior, clan dodged taxes like a coward, and spat in the face of the government, all while leaving the county's residents to rot. For a resume like that, isn't this exactly the karma he ordered? Right then, a lackey signaled the protagonist. It's time. He turned back, cold as ice. Yeah, let's roll. His father thrashed against the ropes, desperate to escape, but the protagonist just walked out of the dungeon heavy with unspoken emotion. Later, he gazed out the manor window, locking eyes with Erika, who was watching him like a hawk from outside. She snapped the curtain shut, fuming. This is a joke, she thought. Why the hell hadn't that old fossil Molin reached out yet? He definitely knew the Imperial Council's verdict. His carrier pigeon should have been pecking at her window by now. Plus, once the execution dropped, her time in Brock County was officially up. She ground her teeth totally over this situation. When a subordinate stepped up, Mistress Erika, prep is complete. We're ready for the execution. She shot him a glare before sighing, understood. Snatching the scroll, she signaled him to lead the way. Moments later, she stood in the shadow of the gallows and announced, "Bring out the condemned." Durga was dragged before her, and the crowd instantly started buzzing. That's the Count. Damn, strip away the fancy silk, and he looks even more pathetic than us. Didn't they bag his wife and kid too? Bet the investigation team joins the manhunt as soon as his head rolls. Just then, the reality hit. All these outsiders were finally clearing out. Even that supernatural warrior clan would be gone before the snow fell. Finally, life was about to reset to normal. In a flash, Erika unfurled the decree, commanding the crowd's attention. I am the head of the Imperial investigation team, she boomed, speaking with the full authority of the Emperor. She proceeded to list Durga's sins. Charge 1, falsification of tax records. A peasant in the back tilted his head. What's that supposed to mean? His neighbor scoffed. It means he robbed us. Blind genius. Erica cut back in. The coal mine yielded a massive output of 60,000 tons. Yet, the official reports claimed half that, pocketing a secret profit of 8,000 gold. The crowd erupted. 8,000 fury took over as they started hurling rocks at the fallen count, screaming, "After all the taxes you squeezed out of us, hey moron, where's our money? We sold our homes to pay you. My daughter's back is broken from slaving in the fields because of your greed." Erica raised her voice over the chaos. "Therefore, any individual bearing the name Brock within the Burial Empire is hereby sentenced to death. Thus, the Emperor decrees the total extermination of the Brock line." At that precise second, the guard ripped the blindfold off the former count, and his eyes adjusted to a sea of rage. "Kill him. Let the thief rot in the dirt. My family is dead because of you. I hope the grave hurts you, monster." The next instant, the trapdoor dropped, and he was swinging from the noose. Erica didn't flinch. "If anyone else has a grudge against this man," she announced, "cast your stone now. Let these rocks build the foundation of the Burial Empire's new order, and a wall to fortify the Emperor's might." The mob didn't need to be told twice. Stones rained down on the swinging body. "Throw, make him pay," they shrieked. Suddenly, Kakantia stepped out of the crowd, spun his spear, and launched it. Thwack! It pierced Durga right through the chest. A guard shouted, "Durga, Brock is dead." Kakantia turned to Ian. "You good?" The protagonist looked back, realized he hadn't thrown a single stone. Maybe, Ian thought, would it have felt better to strangle him with my own bare hands instead of letting the rope do the work? He told Kakantia he didn't know. Just feels weird watching the life leave him. Memories flooded back, secrets he had to keep buried, like what Kakantia pressed. The protagonist thought he should be asking the real Ian for forgiveness, not me, the original Ian. Even though he'd rewritten history in the original timeline, Ian had been sold off to some god-forsaken country, destined to become nothing but a grain of sand in the desert, all because he had the misfortune of carrying a count's blood. Kakantia broke his trance. "Feel any better now that it's done?" Yeah, he lied. But deep down, he knew the chaos was only just starting. He glanced up, spotting a lone falcon circling the sky. Later, Erica cornered an officer. "Any word on reinforcements from Central?" He nodded grimly. "We got a report. But we lost visual on Mary and Zell." Erica grabbed her head, letting out a frustrated groan. "Damn it, where did we lose them? Just outside the valley, ma'am." The sweep through the forest was a total bust. Zero clues, nothing. But just as the frustration hit, they got hit with a priority message straight from the Imperial Council. "Clock's ticking. If the hunt for Mary and Zell drags on, those soldiers are going to swarm right into the central zone." Erica whipped around, eyes wide. "Wait, what?" The soldier dropped the bomb. "Every single unit stationed in the provinces. They're being recalled. All of them." He hesitated, unsure if she was already looped in on the council's play. Erica buried her face in her hands, her mind racing. Even if Central sends the cavalry, it won't be enough. This is a logistical nightmare. If an entire army can't handle it, how is one lone investigation squad supposed to track down Mary and her kid? But her subordinate wasn't finished. "By the way, Captain, didn't Sir Mullen send you a dispatch?" Erica froze, shooting him a sharp look. "Come again." He explained. "Sir Mullen, the reinforcement commander. He got the council's directive and reached out to ask what the move is. But nobody answered him." Erica's mind started spinning. Mullen definitely sent something. Those carrier pigeons are magic stone, guided. They don't just get lost. Something was wrong. Impossible level wrong. Erica didn't waste another second. She stormed into the room, cutting the tension. "Ian, my bad. We need to talk." Ian was just chilling at the table, looking up with a confused frown. "Whoa, what's going on?"